we are joined with Jackson from the Outsiders tour.
Hey, everybody.
He covers Paul, and you cover Daryl and Soda Pop.
I do.
So we have a couple of questions. Some of them are fans submitting questions, and at the very end, I'll spitfire some at you from other people.
Sounds good.
First up, like, how's the tour going? How much fun are you having? What's your experience so far?
The tour's been great so far. It's definitely met my expectations of what was going to happen. It's super cool to see how the story is hitting everybody in different locations. It's cool that the Outsiders fandom is really showing up wherever we go.
Yeah.
It's nice that we have. I just met somebody last night who was like, "Oh, I was there in Atlanta, and I was there in I drove from here from Memphis." So it's very cool to see everybody. But the tour is great. Everybody's getting along really well. You know, there's enough time to go explore cities and have fun and indulge in some fun stuff. So it's great. We're having a great time.
Good. And we know that you all are very close on the tour, like the cast, and everybody's having fun. So we can see that, like, as fans and as audience members.
Yeah.
So knowing that everything's true.
Yeah, you can probably see it on the lives too.
Yeah.
The lives we have.
So this one was a fan asked question.
Okay.
Take us back to the moment you got the call that you were going to be on the tour. What was sentimental about it? How did you feel? And would you share that moment with us?
Sure. I have a funny story too. So I was getting ready to go do All Shook Up at Goodspeed Theater in Connecticut. I went and did that. It was very fun. But I had done my audition. I got the call probably 2 weeks after my final callback. So it was just 2 weeks of just agony, just sitting around.
Right.
And my agent and I were discussing the possibility of going and doing a concert somewhere and trying to figure that out with Goodspeed and the show and whatnot. So we were in contact a lot about what was going on. And I remember I knew at this point, I was like, any call I get from my agent could mean that I got it at any point. I remember he called me and I was sitting on the couch with my roommate and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I picked it up and he starts talking about, they start recording, like they're like, okay, they're like with the little phone, they're like, and I start talking with him and he's like, yeah, so he's like, if we're talking about Goodspeed and the concert, I'm just not sure how it's all gonna work. And I was like, okay. So I said, stop recording. I walk out of the living room, I go to my room. He's talking, he's like, there's just so much we're juggling with right now. He's like, we've got to figure out Goodspeed, the concert, your Outsiders offer, and then you've got all this stuff. And he steamrolls me for a minute straight. I'm on the phone with him. I go, David, hello. Steamrolls me. He knows I'm talking about me. I'm like, David, stop talking. I'm like, what do you mean Outsiders offer? And he goes, oh, did I not tell you? You got the part. And then I proceeded to freak out. And everybody was so mad that they couldn't record it because they were like, I knew this was an offer. And now I'm not recording it, and I have to get the after reaction. But it was crazy. It was such a cool moment. It was interesting, like sitting with that, like feeling so good about my callbacks and all the stuff I'd done in the room, and just knowing that, you know, there's just this mentality as an actor where it's like, after you've gone and done something and you feel so good about it, you're like, I think there's a really good chance, and I just have to have a good feeling about it and hope that that feeling is true. And I just had a feeling about this one that I was like, I just have a feeling, and it worked out. And then here we are.
That's really cool.
That's really awesome.
That's got to feel like so satisfying too. You're like, yeah, this is
very much. It was a journey too. When I was auditioning for this, I was doing a play in Michigan. And so I flew in and out twice to do callbacks, and it was like crazy with my schedule. So it was like, okay, it worked out. Like, it was worth it.
That's really cool.
Definitely. Yeah. Okay, another fan asked question. So you cover Dan's Broadway track. So you do Paul, you do Soda, you do Daryl. How much of Dan's portrayal of those three characters have you brought into your portrayal?
Oh,
if any.
If any.
Well, the first time I saw the show on Broadway was like right after they opened, and I saw Dan as Soda.
Oh, nice.
And there was so much happening in the production. Like I think it was before the cast recording came out. So all I had heard of the show was Great Expectations when they released it with Brody a little bit before. So I was like, it's so hard to remember like so much from that show. But I obviously loved Dan as Soda. But it's funny, I think I've seen it 3 times, and I've never seen Dan as Paul. I've seen him as Soda twice, and then when I came and saw it before our Tulsa trip, he was out of the show. But our creative team has talked a lot about Dan, of course. They're like, Dan, like, you know, when you're planning little bits, they're like, Dan has done this, Victor does this, we're gonna take little elements of this from all these people. So it's fun to like hear about stuff and have it implemented, even though I haven't really seen it. It's so funny. I told Dan when we met the Broadway cast, I was like, you know, I've seen you as Soda twice, but I've never seen you as Paul. And he was like, oh.
He's like, yeah, that makes sense.
He was like, sure. But yeah.
That's so funny. Is there anything, I'm just curious, is there anything personally that you've brought to the role, like any small, like little movements or anything like that you're like, this is something I want to do to put into this character?
Oh, sure. I mean, as Paul, I definitely like the feeling of like that sort of second in command kind of thing. There's a lot of stuff like I try to do a lot of stuff in drive-in because it's pretty. Paul's track and drive-in is kind of like stand and watch everybody dance. So I always try to like add in like little flares of like something, whether it's like a little like kick or whatnot into drive-in as much as I can to kind of bolster up these things. And it's fun working with Mark Doyle, Bob, also my roommate here in Greenville, and like playing off of each other to have that kind of like hierarchy in the socials. I think is a lot of fun to think about and to do.
That's cool.
So this one's another one from a fan. So when you're on for Daryl and for Soda Pop, what emotions do you think about when you bring those characters to life? Totally.
I was talking about this. We had a talk back with about a couple hundred students last night that I was talking about this with. And for me in this show specifically, something that really helps me get into these characters is like fear, is like finding out, you know, the show is so much about trying to hold what these characters have together, that there's the fear of that slipping away for everybody. And so something that, you know, when I learned Daryl's track first because I wasn't always originally a Soda understudy. And I learned Daryl's track first and I really crafted that first. And I always thought about like, to me, Daryl's afraid of Ponyboy becoming like him, of having all this talent and this great promising future and then having to lose it all and stay in Tulsa. Daryl could have gone out and played college football somewhere. He could have maybe made money, done something with his life, gone out of Tulsa. But now after the events of what happened, he has to stay there. And I think he knows Pony has so much potential and is so hard on him because he doesn't want him to end up in that same place. And so that for me, when I'm Daryl, like really drives it together. I'm like, you're going to the drive-in. Don't be stupid. Don't get like beat up and injure yourself because you got to go to school. And then when I'm Soda, I'm always afraid of, you know, Soda is in a strange position because he knows that he wasn't good in school. He knows that he doesn't really have a future where he can like climb to the top of some place. He knows he's kind of where he's at. And the one thing that he had that was really, that he was holding on to, being his girlfriend, is now gone, you know? And so he's stuck in this weird place of what does he have left? He has his brothers. And being the mediator between the two, always trying to be like that diffuser, the one who's like, I'm going to try to cool down the situation. I'm going to try to keep this family together. You know, whenever I'm Soda, I always feel like I have to keep the family together. And so the fear of losing the one thing that I have left really drives me as Soda and brings a whole new sort of emotion to it. You know, he masks, Daryl and Soda mask in different ways. And Soda masks in like being happy and like being like, Ponyboy, like Daryl doesn't hate you, Ponyboy, like it's all good, like trying to really invest in his brothers, but there's that fear of losing sort of the one thing that he feels he has right now. And like what happens if Daryl gives up? What happens if Pony runs away? What does that mean for him? What does he have left, you know? And so those are things that really, if I'm ever like in a show where I'm like, I'm not feeling it, I like re-put myself back into that world and I'm like, okay, that's this fear informs kind of all the choices you make. Right. And that's something that I haven't found in a lot of other shows, but it really, really helps me in this one.
it's got to help so much too with so much source material. Like there's the movie, there's the book, obviously, there's the TV show, and there's I think there's just so much for you to pull from, right? Where you can be like, I know exactly how it kind of would be in this moment versus you know kind of how it views the character in general.
Totally. It helped me so much, especially when crafting Soda Pop, because Soda just stuck out to me so much in the book. Like I remember reading the book and being like, like Soda was always my favorite.
Yeah.
And those late night conversations that him and Ponyboy would have, and how Ponyboy talks about Soda, and you know how he talks about Daryl and the physical features of Daryl, all makes it so much easier to kind of really find your character in that way.
That's awesome.
So were you a fan of the book or the movie before getting cast in Outsiders?
You know, I always say this. I didn't remember ever reading the book when I was in middle school, but I knew the musical was coming out, and I was going to New York for my senior showcase from college, and I knew that I wanted to go see it because everybody was talking about it. And so I was like, let me read the book before I go so I can like get a sense of the material. So I like have like the material before I go see the musical. And I had a copy in my college in Cincinnati. And I was like, how do I have this? And I opened it up, and it's my middle school library barcode on the inside. So I must have picked it up or tried to read it, or maybe I did read it. I don't remember. But in prep of going to go see the musical, I read the book for the first time that I could like actually really remember, and loved it. And then came to the musical, and there was so much different stuff, but it's still, I was such a fan of it for obvious reasons, for everything that the story had going on. It was such a different, you know, we're not trying to be like, you know, it's the same story, but they collaborated with S.E. Hinton all the way through for making sort of a musical adaptation of the book, of the movie, you know? And so I was still blown away, and I love the story just as much as the book.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Okay, so do you have a favorite place that you've visited on the tour so far?
Ooh, I loved Durham, North Carolina. Yeah. It was such like, the theater is beautiful. It was such like a staple for me because they have this really cool tradition of their wall tags are so unique there, where when you make a wall tag for a show, for people who don't know, is backstage, you put up like, you make a design for the Outsiders, and then you say North American tour, and you were there at the city for these dates, and the whole cast gets to sign it and like put their part in their name. And it's really cool because then when you go to other cities, you know, someone like me who I have so many colleagues in this field that I go and I see somebody's name on another wall tag, and it's so cool to be like, oh, they were just here. And Durham does this cool tradition where you make the wall tag, but you design it not of your own show. You do like a spin on it. So like, there's like I guess there was a Muppets show that came to Durham, and they have it like Muppets in the style of Wicked. So it's like Wicked's playbill, but instead of Elphaba on the thing, it's Miss Piggy. And it's such a cool tradition. And for us, they did, instead of singing in the rain, it's rumbling in the rain. And so our wall there is like Ponyboy with a knife, like dancing in the rain while there's a bunch of people fighting behind him.
That's pretty cool.
I love Durham. Orlando was really awesome. Getting to go to Disney World and Universal for the first time there was very cool. Give you something to do. Yeah, I think those are my two favorites so far. And I love St. Louis was awesome too. But I think Durham and Orlando really stick out to me.
You'll love Knoxville.
Yes.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, really cool. I'm reading through. So someone asked, what does stay gold mean to you?
It was something I found in the rehearsal room, and it's just like it was something I was so impressed by watching Nolan in rehearsals. Is that, you know, like I'm not super, I'm a couple years out of school. Like I've done like a handful of regional contracts and stuff. And I think there's always sort of a way to get a little jaded coming into stuff. And I would watch Nolan in the rehearsal rooms just have so much joy and hunger for acting and for doing these exercises. You know, there's stuff where it was like Danya Tamor would be like, okay, sing Great Expectations, but I'm Mr. Dickens. Ask all these questions to me. And like in one of our first think-throughs, and he was like, oh, that's so awesome. He was like, I was going to ask if I could do that. And it stuck out to me so much. And I feel like staying gold is, you know, he talks about nature's first green is gold. And I always interpreted that as like that innocence, that wonder you have, that optimism instead of cynicism for the world, you know, is staying optimistic, keeping the wonder that's around you, and keeping that like hunger for what you love. That's kind of always how it stood out to me, and Nolan really, really helped me see that.
That's awesome.
It's really interesting too.
Yeah.
The song itself is a fan favorite.
Of course. Yeah, this guy up here, Stagel, Pony Boy.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that gets everybody too. Like no matter where you go, it's got to be interesting to see. Like you go to so many different places, and to see so many people who probably are experiencing it for the first time get like so emotional to like points like that. Like it's very so much fun.
It's awesome. It's awesome to see. Stay Gold always gets roaring applause.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we wear these hats around. There's one time where we were on a flight and there were like 5 of us wearing the hats. And someone went, oh, the flight attendant went, oh my God, that's so funny. You guys must all love the Outsiders. Like, you guys are all wearing hats? And we're like, yes, we do.
Just a little.
Yes, we do.
I also think like we've seen the Broadway show 10 times. We're crazy.
Oh, wow.
We're insane. And we've seen the tour twice now. We're going to see it 4 times soon.
Mm-hmm.
But every time the knife comes out,
oh man,
when Johnny stabs Bob, every person in the audience like gasps. Pearls are gripped. Like,
yeah, it's fun. It's fun having students in the audience in that moment happening, and then in the blackouts, like when it blacks out and there's like a bunch of students, there's always like, whoa, is he dead? Whoa. And then it like comes back up. Even in the first moment when Pony Boy gets kicked, it's like it's such a big thing.
Right. Yeah, that react, like it's got to, like I said, it's got to be so fun to see those reactions no matter where you go. It's like,
yeah,
people love
it's very cool
experience, you know. It's like really cool.
Yeah, especially if you have some people in the front row who have had a couple drinks and they're very vocal about everything. Very vocal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Another fan asked question. Do you have any secret lore about Paul that you would like to share with us? Outsiders fans love
him. They do love some Paul lore.
Harry lore, like whatever you got.
Yeah. I guess something I've kind of found with Paul is something that interests me about the show is because of the time that it's set in, is like the religious factor of like the Socs, I guess. I mean, if they're coming from like clean-cut wealthy families, I always think like they've probably got some aspect of religion in them. And I'm not quite sure what that means for Paul yet, but I always try to think of like thinking about like, oh, like is Paul a pastor's kid? Is everybody like, are the Socs together because like have they like met at church somewhere somehow? Something along those lines is something I've always kind of thought of, like especially Justice for Tulsa when we're like praying around Bob and like having that like that little vigil for him. We also Travis and I try to keep the Perry lore alive. Sometimes at bows we'll have a little reach for each other. Just because I know Perry lore is very prominent. People love it. Do our best to keep that alive and well.
You got to feed the fans.
Yeah.
You do.
For sure.
So another one, what's been your favorite moment in the show? Like every show that you do, I know it probably gets a little repetitive sometimes, but what's something that you always look forward to when doing the show?
I always think there's so many fun moments in Drive-In. Drive-In is so free, not just like after the song and you get into like the scenes, like the Socs are there on stage the whole time. And we have so many like little bits that happen now. Like after, like I always try to come in when Cherry and Dally are talking in the Drive-In and like sit on the bench as hard as I can to like bounce Beverly and Brill that are over on the bench there. Or like in Rumble, we've gotten really comfortable so we can joke around when we're with each other, you know, which is a lot of fun. I think those just like the little, you know, I think that's the fun of any show is having your little moments and bits with other people.
For sure. Yeah.
That is like, you're like, oh, I've got something new today for them. Like, let me think of something for them to say.
That's pretty awesome.
So speaking of Rumble, in the Broadway show, it's kind of known that people break their noses, things happen during the Rumble. Have you had any experience like getting hurt yet? Has anything happened yet?
We had one thing that happened in our last show. Well, for some people that may know, when we were in Greensboro, Dante and I split Daryl shows there because one time when we were doing Rumble, I throw 2 punches to Daryl, and well, I was always watching out for like soda interactions because I know that it's the sodas that always get their nose broken on Broadway. And we had a moment where I throw the first punch in Rumble, I get Daryl up, we go through a little bit more, he comes up and I throw another punch. And on that punch, my fist cleared, but my elbow got Travis in the nose and broke it. So he had one, but he recovered in a week. He was back, strong, ready to go, very ready to. He's such a social person that he was so ready to come back and do the shows. So we had he was out for Greensboro, but then he came back very, very strong. But that was our only sort of injury so far. Luckily, it's only been that.
Yeah, it's a very intricate thing. Like, could you walk us through like learning that piece, especially when you're with Travis or with Dante or whoever's playing either role, like what that chemistry is like?
Yeah, it's fun to, because it's mostly Travis and I, we have our show so down pat, but then it's fun whenever like I'm Daryl and then Luke is Paul, or I'm Daryl. I had a moment where it was like, okay, it's tall Daryl versus swole Paul, when it was John Michael as Paul because he's so jacked. But it was really fun. It was crazy to learn it. I had gotten my soda understudy added the day before we started learning Rumble in the rehearsal room. So I came in being like, okay, like I've got to learn 3 tracks of this. And I remember like I have in my script, I just took out, it's single-sided, so I would take them out and I have like a full page of like what soda does and a full page of what Daryl does. It was fun to learn it. They were very gracious in this process. I think they knew that like covers and standbys and swings were such a huge part of the Broadway cast that they were like, we want to get reps for understudies as much as possible. This happened all the time in all the scenes where we'd be like, okay, we just learned Grease Got a Hold. All right, let's put covers and understudies on. We just learned Let's Turn Heroes. Let's put on all of our swings. And so for Rumble, there was many opportunities for me to do Daryl's tracking in it, which kind of, was very cool to just like get some reps in of it. But it took 3 days to learn it. And we learned it in 3 phases. The Coopermans break it down in 3 phases. You have phase 1, which is like the first of it, which is like the all 4 on. You have like phase 1A, 1B, 1C in this free for all that's led by Vamps. And then you have phase 2, which is when we're all together in the clump. And then you have phase 3, which is when we're doing all the unison fighting and the rolling, so it's very cool to like break it down in those kind of ways and be like, okay, once I hear the crack of this thunder, then I'm going into the next phase. And it's so mechanical. This whole show is much more mechanical than I thought. And everything is very choreographed and very specifically placed. So it was very cool to learn.
It takes a lot of work to look at not much of a lot of work.
And it's also a challenge too of like, all of our fighting is done at percentages. So if all of our social violence that we have when we fight, in our fight call, we do it at 20%, which is like just very going through the motions, making sure you have the right grips. And then we do it at 90%, which is show speed. And the Coopermans made it very clear. They're like, in Rumble, show speed is 65%. You don't go more because you don't need to. There's so much happening at one time. And if you're like, I'm going to get in character and you do Rumble at 100%, it's just, it becomes more dangerous. You have your set show. You don't want to come in with a bunch of energy and freak out the person you're fighting too. So it's all like, it's a very delicate balance to get this stuff in.
That's really interesting. I would never have fixed, because I like looking at it as an audience member, there's so much prep that goes into it. Like you guys are practicing and perfecting and making sure you don't break another soda's nose.
Yeah, right.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah.
That's the best part of it too. Like with us, we've seen it so many times to where we've seen it as the bigger picture. So now we can watch each individual character interact.
Yeah.
Segues into the next question. So when you're Soda, there's a big part in Rumble where Soda pulls Ace, like he's helping Ace at one point. Do you have any lore with Soda and Ace is one of the next questions. So,
not me personally. Corbin might. I know there's some stuff. Yeah, nothing that I've found specifically with Soda and Ace in my show. But I wonder. I'm curious. I don't know if Corbin does either. I'm curious about that. I'll have to ask him. Yeah.
Back to a very basic non-outsiders, really. So take us back to when you first started musical theater. Like, what started that passion and eventually led you to here?
Sure. So I started off as a big sports kid. My family is very musical. My parents met singing in a choir, as I say, and my grandmother was very, very, very musical. And I have an older sister, and she had started off, she was doing ballet when she was super young, theater her whole life, choir, everything. And I did martial arts for a long time. And then I moved into baseball, and I did football for a little bit. And I was not interested in musical theater. I remember when the Les Mis movie came out, my whole family was going to see it, and they asked if I wanted to come, and I said, absolutely not. I don't want to see that. And I just was always singing around. My mom talked about that I would sing in the outfield at my baseball games. And I started to really like it. So my first little step was I joined the choir my sister was in, and really liked that. So I was after I think 2 years of that, I was okay, I'll audition for a show. I'll try it out at our community theater at the Highliners in Burien, Washington. Shout out the Highliners. And I auditioned for Willy Wonka, and I didn't get cast, and I was devastated. And I said, you know what? I'm never going to do this. I'll never audition again. I'm never going to do it. And luckily, I built back enough confidence where I auditioned for Aladdin Kids, and I was a guard. Score. And it just kind of all went from there. And it hit a moment where I was in 7th grade. I was in middle school. And I was I could either do another season of football, or I could do this supporting lead in our big main stage musical. And I decided to go with the musical. And from that point on, I don't think I ever did any group sports again. And it kind of kept carrying me. I kept doing it through high school, and I wasn't really sure if it was right for me. And then I did a production of West Side Story at the Fifth Avenue Theater in Seattle. It's an amazing theater, and their incredible Rising Star program where they just it's this big regional house, and they cast a show of all high schoolers solely under the professional cast. And I had a moment where I was if this is what professional rehearsal rooms look like this is what I want to be doing forever. And so I auditioned for colleges, and I got into University of Cincinnati at their conservatory, CCM, and went through all 4 years, got my BFA in musical theater, and now here I am. And I'm very happy. This worked out much better in sports.
Yeah. You have your Troy Bolton moment.
Yeah, literally. And then in high school, it was it's either electrical engineering, which I knew nothing about. I don't know why I was interested in that, or theater. So I was I'll do theater.
That one sounds more fun.
Yeah. I probably only have time for one question, because we have to run to our flight call in a couple
of minutes. The last question that we have for you from all of the fans, they all have interest in going into this field. So what is your advice as an actor? Sure. I would say if you truly love it, don't let rejection hurt you. Keep, a quote unquote, no, I wouldn't say that. Acting all lies in the work. You will never be failed by the work you do for shows, I think. And so if you keep going, if you keep putting in the work and putting in the time, and don't let rejection face you, and you just truly love it, don't let anything stop you. I found myself that I was just I love this so much, and I know sports is one thing, and I know I'm having a lot of fun with doing that, but this is what I think I'm meant to do. And I didn't get into my first show, and it sucked, but then I just kept coming back and kept working on acting, and I kept working on different stuff, and I worked on my singing, and I just found a way to get through. And I think so many people, even people will go to college and come out to New York and audition for a year, nothing will land, feel so downtrodden and want to give up. But it's just you can't. If you love it, and there's that burden of I know this is what I have to do,
and you work hard, it takes a lot of work, and you really work hard, something will land. And you don't want to ever let the thought of like, oh, I could have done this, but now I have to settle for this. Like, go at it full speed. And then if you feel like it's time to move away, then it's time to move away. But you have to do what is right in your heart. And if in your heart, you know, I have to do this, then you're going to have so much more enjoyment and success than anything else.
That's awesome.
Well, there we go.
Yeah,
that's my advice.
Oh, that's great.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I know all the fans were super excited. So, yeah, have a great show.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Thank you for
we'll see you in April.
For coming out and listening.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
We are with Nolan White, who plays Ponyboy Curtis on the first national tour of The Outsiders. We are so excited to have him today. We have become kind of close with him and his family, and it's just such a blessing that we made this connection and that he is able to come and say hi to you all. So Nolan, we have a couple of questions fan asked, and then toward the end, we can get to more if we have some time. But first up, like, how are you? How's the tour going? How much fun are you having?
So much fun. It's going really well. Everyone's holding up great. The cities are awesome. It's so fun to explore each different place we go. Honestly, one of my favorite parts of tour is just, you know, seeing all the different cities and cultures and food. I love the different food in each city. I'm a big foodie, so I love that. And it's snowing, and it's snowed in the last 3 cities we've been to, so that's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Someone asked, do you have a favorite city that you've been to so far?
I have a favorite city. I'm a hometown guy. I'm biased. I love going back to Nashville. So my family and my dog and cousins, and so I'm gonna say hometown or Tulsa.
Yeah,
I'm sure Tulsa too.
For sure.
2 very basic answers. No.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you feel such a connection, you know.
And we could feel the energy when we saw you in Nashville.
Oh, for sure.
Just crazy show out energy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also a fan asked question. So you are playing Ponyboy for the first time in the national tour, but Brody played it on Broadway. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything that you've taken from Brody's portrayal of Ponyboy into your own?
I have. He's actually been a huge help to me, like especially when I first got the role and when I first met Brody back like up in New York. Mm-hmm. Was I think one of the things off the dome that I think of is the I Could Talk to You All Night scene. He was really, you know, helpful with figuring that out, along with Danya, of course, but he had a couple really neat tips about, you know, just about what he does to get into character for that scene and how he sees Cherry Valance as like, you know, the popular girl from his high school. And as soon as he said that, it kind of clicked for me, like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, that's how I'm going to play it. And of course, I do my own thing in a lot of different ways, but that little tip he gave me was super helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's got to be so helpful to talk with him at the very least and be like, what can I get from you versus what can I put into my own performance? Because I'm sure there's so much that you individually take from your life or experiences that you must put into the character.
Totally.
You know?
That's what's so special about, you know, different people taking on the same role, is that each one it's the same character in nature, but it's also so different because everyone draws from their own experiences. So
right.
Right.
Jordan or Christian or anyone, it's going to be different every time.
For sure.
For sure. So were you a fan of the book or the movie before getting this role?
I was. I don't know if I would call it a fan, but I had read the book back in 7th grade. And I hadn't delved as deep into it as I probably should have at the time. I wasn't a huge reader, but as soon as I heard about the musical being a thing, I was immediately intrigued by it. Like, I remember being in class, in my my high school's black box theater, hearing that it was a Broadway musical, like, and how well it was doing. And I remember friends just being like, "You'd be so good for that. You should, like, if it's still on Broadway, you should go in for it." Or if there's a tour. I was like, "Nah, that's never gonna happen. I'm a senior."
Oh, man.
As soon as I heard about the open call, I immediately read the book again, and I just fell in love with it. And I think I've read it 4 more times since then. But it's the gift that keeps on giving. I find something new every time I crack it open, and it's a real just masterpiece of a book.
It is.
For sure.
So this is another fan asked question. When you got the call that you were cast, could you tell us how you felt or anything about that moment?
I can. This is really funny. It actually woke me up. The call woke me up. I was it was like 11:30 in the morning, and I'd woken up at 9, but then I was like, yeah, I'll get a little more sleep, and I hit the snooze button. I get woken up to a call from the casting director. I was like, oh my gosh, no way. I'm gonna get up. And I just wigged out, freaked out. But I was trying to be as like professional as possible on this call. Like, yeah.
Right.
I was internally just losing it. Like, so much fun. And I immediately FaceTimed my parents, both of them at the same time. That was our like code that like I got the call. If I FaceTime you guys, you know what it means. I immediately went downstairs and like hugged my dog and my parents. And we all collectively freaked out.
That's great.
You have the most supportive parents ever. Just Matt and I got to talk to them a little bit in Nashville, and they were just so proud of you.
Yes, very much.
So much. I cannot wait to go home and see them.
Yeah.
I owe so much to both of them. Mm-hmm.
So another fan asked question. When you started working on your portrayal of Ponyboy, what were some things that you were drawing from? Like, were you drawing from the book, or were there other aspects coming into your portrayal?
I was definitely drawing from the book. I think the text is like, it's like our Bible. That's the first thing we do is Susie's actual words that she wrote all those years ago. And I think another really important thing that I drew from was actually my dad's childhood. And the stories he's told me, and my uncle's childhood, because they grew up in rural Oklahoma. My dad was born in Lawton, which is not too far from Tulsa. It's kind of near Oklahoma City. And they actually had a very similar upbringing to the Curtis brothers. And, they had a really tough childhood. And so learning about those stories of growing up with not really any strong parental influence. Oh, I mean, he had his grandma and his mom, and just learning about his childhood and how it affected him was really, really important to putting that into my character of Ponyboy and how he would react to certain things or feel in certain moments. And I think also movies that Danya gave me to watch as like, inspiration. Like before we even started rehearsal, she had given me a list of movies to watch that she thinks would be good to draw from. So
that's cool.
That's really cool.
Off the top of my head.
That's really cool. So another fan asked question. Is there a scene or a part of the show that you look forward to doing? I know this show is probably getting repetitive, but is there a scene or a part that you just look forward to doing every time you're on stage?
That's a basic answer, but I mean, the show itself, of course, it is like we do it every night, but it's still just such a rush to get up on that stage and sing the songs and say the words. It's not. I don't think for any of us it's getting old per se. We love it every night, and we love sharing the stage with each other. But I think if there's one scene that I love doing every night, it's got to be Stay Gold. It's just so just tender and like and real. And Benel and I have become really good friends, and I'm sure he would say the same. Like how, you know, just special that moment is every time we sing that song.
For sure.
And that goes for all the Johnnies. It's just, you can feel it in the audience too. There's just some energy that goes on. It's really, really beautiful. A real special song.
That's really special. And I'm sure it's got to be so much fun, especially to be on a tour where you can do the same show in so many different places. And I'm sure it just feels new every time, right? Like there's just different audiences, they all react to different parts. So I'm sure it's just easy to keep it fresh, you know?
Mm-hmm. It was really funny in Nebraska, in Omaha. We during our like second preview, the whole audience laughed at like this one spot that none of us were expecting. Like, driving up to Iowa, but Iowa is like literally 5 minutes away, like across. We all laughed like, "Oh, it's Iowa!" Hilarious.
That's
and
funny.
the cities laughed at that because it would make sense. But see, it's like an example, like a joke that wouldn't be funny anywhere else. But yeah,
right.
It's like different things for different places. It's pretty funny.
So another question, since you brought up Benel, someone asked how working with him, like with your chemistry, how that all came into play. Because when you see the tour, obviously you can feel that energy and that love. So, yeah.
Well, I think I gotta give props to Danya because her whole rehearsal process was just, gosh, she did such a great job of facilitating all of us to be, comfortable with each other and comfortable in the space and working with such heavy themes. But, just immediately like building in that strong foundation for friendship. Like, I mean, everyone hit it off instantly. Like, it's truly the best case scenario for a tour. I think any of them would say the same. Like, we love each other, and we support each other, and especially with me and Benel, like we are really good friends. Like in real life, we hang out, we play video games. Like me, Benel, and Corbin will play like Fortnite, and it's great. And I think getting on stage each night, we give each other a good hug before every show, just as like support. Like, let's do this again. Let's tell this story. And yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to have a brother like that on stage.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Okay, so another fan asked question. Since you've read the book and I'm sure you've seen the movie, is there a part of the book or the movie that you wish was in your show?
Ooh, yeah. I wish in the movie there's a scene at the hospital where where Derry and Soda Pop meet up with Ponyboy after, like, in the hospital. I love that scene. I love that scene, and I wish it was in the musical. But I understand that we changed a lot of things during previews in Broadway, and certain things didn't make the cut. And I love the final product that we're getting to work with. I got a soft spot for that scene.
it's so important. Like I guess it's not 100%. I wouldn't say not important, but it's so satisfying, right? When they finally reunite.
But you still get a little bit of that after the Rumble, with Soda Pop and Daryl, hugging and freaking out and screaming, and
Okay, a similar question. With watching the movie and reading the book, is there something, like, we also know that you have a brother, so in real life, how has working with Corbin or Travis or whoever's on for the two Curtis brothers, like, what has your chemistry been like working with them?
I mean, really, really good, especially with Corbin and Travis, because I get to work with them, I'd say, most of the time. It's, I mean, from the start, it's been like a brotherly thing. Like it's always felt like that. And I'm the oldest sibling, so I've never had experience with having an older sibling. But with Travis, like, it genuinely does kind of feel like he could totally be my older brother. Like, and Corbin and I mess around with each other on and off stage, and that Soda Pop Pony Boy relationship is not just on stage. It's always like that. Like, and y'all see it at the stage door. We'll be talking to someone who'll come up behind me and like, but we love him. He's Corbin. He's the best. So yeah, it is like I have two tour brothers. Yeah.
So another fan asked question: what has been one of your favorite reactions to an audience member receiving the book from you?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow, I didn't think about that. Oh my gosh, there was this I don't remember what city it was in, but there was this little kid, like little boy, like maybe 6 years old, but he had Funko Pops of the characters like in the seat with him, and he was in the Ponyboy seat, and it was just the cutest thing ever. And he was just holding his Funko Pops like in the boxes still, like the characters. And I go down there and I give him the book, and he was just looking. He was just so into it. He couldn't even reach and grab it, so his mom had to for him. But he just beamed and smiled. Thing ever, and we were all talking about it backstage after, and so that kid, he was
and that's gotta mean so much too. Like, I mean, to touch so many audiences, first of all, but then just such a small moment like that at the end where you can see, like, I might have really affected this person. That's got to be so nice.
It's the best. It's the reason, we do what we do. Like, if you touch just one person's heart in that audience, then you've done your job.
Yeah, for sure.
In this show, everyone feels something leaving the show. Definitely, it's one of the shows that's just so special where you go and you're not expecting what you're going to feel at the very end of it. Because you think Broadway musical, you think the flashy, stereotypical Broadway. There's nothing wrong with that, but you go to this one and it's very emotional. It's like a roller coaster. Okay, another fan asked question. What led you to wanting to audition for this show? / what was the first show you were in?
First show I was ever in?
Yeah.
Good question. I was Schroeder in You're a Good Man, Charlie.
Nice.
Which is really funny because like I auditioned for that. My mom was like, "What are you doing? You've never auditioned for a musical ever. Like, do you even know how to audition for something?" I'm like, yeah, I got it. Watch me do this. I know what I'm doing. I'm good. I had no clue what I was doing. But I went in and I got lucky, and then I got Schroeder, and I just kept doing it. It was my favorite thing ever. I loved it. Made some of my closest friends in that show.
Yeah.
And for Outsiders, I really didn't know that I was gonna audition. I was sent the link to the open call. Like, they posted on Instagram, like, there's an open call for Ponyboy and Johnny Broadway replacements and tour coming up. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. There's 0 chance I can do that. I'm like, there's no way. But I immediately saw it and was like, it piqued my interest, like, big time. I'm like, wow, if I had the chance to do that, I would love it. Like, I feel like I'd be good for that. I mean, it's Oklahoma. My dad's from Oklahoma, all this stuff. A lot of weird connections. And my mom sends it to me on Instagram and is like, would you want to do this? And I'm like, how? She's like, well, we'll do a little Nolan Mom New York trip.
Right.
It was literally her like excuse to see me another time after winter break. So we made it happen. We found a weekend. It turned out that weekend it was on, worked, and we flew up to New York, waited in line for 4 hours at 5 a.m, and I sang 16 bars of a song, and that was that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll never forget seeing the videos of people that had just auditioned, and there were, 500 people in the line.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
Okay, another question. Is there a part in the show that has stuck out to you where something has either gone not as planned or an ad-lib moment that's, special to you?
Ooh. Yeah, once Jackson, our Paul, sat down on the Corvette and the whole windshield cracked.
Oh no.
He broke the windshield, so yeah, that was really funny. The car's not come out before, so we had to we had a contingency plan for it, so we knew what to do, but that's happened during our open rehearsal, like our very, very first time in front of an audience. The whole fire sequence, all the sounds were messed up.
Oh no.
I think everyone's collective favorite moment was during that same invited dress during Soch 1, which is what we call the very first Soch violence scene, like right after Tulsa 67. I get kicked in the face, and instead of the kick sound effect, it played one of the songs from the pre-show.
Oh,
You like the piano, and it was funny. Everyone on stage was just trying so hard not to break, and it was great. So we were that all the time.
That's the best part of live theater too, because you never know exactly what's gonna happen.
Oh, and one time a kid in the audience, when I say it was in the last scene. I'm like, is that okay with you too? And some kid in the audience goes, yes, and we all were like,
don't laugh.
so funny.
Oh no.
I know on Broadway, like the table's broken before, and like people lost the football.
I didn't know that.
In the family, the table just breaks.
It's live theater.
That's part of it, though.
Well, I'm trying to think what else has gone wrong. That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
That's awesome. There's always something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So another question from a fan: when you started the rehearsal process, could you go through how the violence scenes kind of played out when they were teaching you how to do that?
Well, they actually went really smoothly. Like everyone adjusted to the choreography pretty well and was very, we started off really slow, and we learned so much from the Coopermans. The Coopermans were just the heartbeat of the physical rehearsal process, especially with things like the rumble and both the Soch violence scenes and the two-bit cigarette burn scene. Like all of that is brutal stuff, and we took it really slow. And even though it looks like it's going real fast and super crazy, we're always controlled, and we're always in tune with one another, with what's going on. And they taught us that that's the most important thing in fight choreography, is that everyone feels safe and that you're not going red light fever and too fast and getting too in the moment, because it can be in the moment. You just always have to prioritize each other's safety and keep everyone feeling comfortable, because it's simulated violence at the end of the day. So, but it does turn out looking pretty convincing. So
Yep.
that's awesome.
When we were talking with Jackson yesterday, he was saying the same thing about, like, they tell you about percentages, like never go 100%, go about 65, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So another question from a fan: Outsiders fans love their lore,
Well, they do.
So do you have any Ponyboy lore that you would like to share?
Ponyboy lore. Let me think. I haven't actually thought about that much, but I've sad Ponyboy lore.
Okay.
Ponyboy lore that's in the book. Like a lot of the lore is stuff that's written in the book, so it's not like my own personal headcanon. Like, well, I think. Oh, I have a Ponyboy headcanon. I think Ponyboy would have loved Bob Dylan.
Yep.
Loved Bob Dylan, because I love it. And
I like it.
Bob Dylan Center when we were in Tulsa, and I out for a long time.
That's really cool.
But headcanons. I really don't. I can't think of many Ponyboy headcanons, but I know the obvious fan things that are
Oh yeah.
like I mean, 2-Bit Marsha, and that's the first one that comes to mind. Okay, there's one. I think Ponyboy's a fan of 2-Bit Marsha.
Oh.
I can see that.
Exit on, especially in the drive-in. So look for that when you go to the tour, because I will egg it on.
All right.
Another fan asked, when going into the headspace of Ponyboy, is there something that you draw from, like from your own family life with like your parents or your brothers, or anything that you draw from?
I talked to my younger brother about what it feels like to be a younger brother, or to be the youngest brother. And I think that was one of the most important things for me, was to, understand that in a way. Like, that might not make sense, but it's a whole different dynamic being on the other side of brotherhood. Because I only have experience being the first one to do this, and the first one to do this, and the one that, kind of blazes that trail for both siblings. But, I think, being the baby of the family is a whole thing in its own, and kind of understanding that experience a little bit from talking to my brother Parker, I think helped me a lot, and I miss him a ton. So Parker, if you're watching this, love you, brother. He's in a production of Sweeney Todd right now. He's he's crushing it.
That's cool.
I'm sure that makes you super proud too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So proud of him.
That's very nice.
This one's a random one, but fans asked, is the food at the end of the show, is it actually good?
Yeah, it is. I don't eat it because I'm not like blocked to eat it in the show, but sometimes I go back and eat it at the end of the show. I don't know why I don't do that. I kind of just like I don't know. It's not like it's not good. I mean, everyone likes it. Travis likes it. Corbin loves it. But no, Corbin loves it. Yeah, that's it's good. I like the green.
I'm sure at the end you're just like, yeah, I'm done.
I'm definitely tired. So, but yeah, it's usually because my jeans are wet. I'm like, all right, I want to go get wet jeans.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll take an extra 10 seconds to munch on some green beans. They're good.
Another fan asked, what has been some of your favorite interactions / gifts at the stage door?
Oh my gosh, I got this crochet Ponyboy from Karis. I don't know if you know Karis.
Yeah, she's in the RumbleCon marketplace.
Great. Yeah, well, y'all go buy crochet stuff. It is so cool. She came and gave us a whole bunch of different characters, and it was just the sweetest thing. And I got a little mini Nolan now.
That's perfect.
Just amazing. Yeah. And I get bracelets every single time. So I have a whole back at my house. I have like a shrine of Ponyboy bracelets on my nightstand. So whenever I come back home, I get to add to the pile, and it's really fun. But I keep each and every one, and they're all super special to me.
It's super sweet. I know we're friends with Brody and Cindy, his mom, and she told me she's going to make ornaments of all the bracelets and make an outsider's tree.
So cool. I'll have to give my mom that idea. Not watching.
Okay, a couple more questions. What has been the most rewarding part of your journey so far?
Most rewarding part? Oh, it's definitely, listening to fans' experiences, and hearing how the show affected them, and like, saying like, wow, stuff like, you know, I haven't been able to cry in a long time, and that really just let me do it. And or I really saw myself in Ponyboy, and just hearing stories of how the show personally affected people, and knowing like, wow, I did my job, and like I helped facilitate that. I was a part of that, and that, I mean, I think that's what live theater is really about. Is just if you can have someone think about what they're seeing and process it, then yeah, if you walk away with something, that's what matters. And I'm glad that people are.
Good. Okay, and then the last question, is there something from your journey that you would want to take forward in your own life? Like, what have you learned from Ponyboy and from this production?
I've learned that I need to be more sure of myself and my art. Because I know by the end of the story, Ponyboy really transforms into, you know, his fullest version of himself as an artist. Like, the book is created because he accepts what's happened and writes about it. And I think I'm still learning something new about performing every day. And that's my goal with this tour, is really, and with this character, is to learn something new every night and continue growing as an actor and a person. Because, you know, this would be my sophomore year in college, and I'm just so fortunate to be able to do this and even have this as an option and tell this story every night. And so I truly do learn something new every night about the character and about myself. And yeah, I mean, it's just a heck of an opportunity.
Awesome.
You definitely picked the right person.
Yes.
To carry on this legacy, for sure. The right tour, for sure. Yeah. The cast of people, like, we went in with the expectation. We've seen the Broadway show quite a few times. We're freaks, but I was expecting it to be a little different, and it's just the exact same thing. And something about the tour cast that we both admire, like as artists, is just how much passion, how much energy, how much enthusiasm you bring to the show, which is something the Broadway show started. So definitely you're seeing like the legacy and the tradition just carry on over and over and over again. And this musical is bringing so many new people, not just to theater, but to the book and to the movie. So it's something really cool, and we're really proud of you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So I think that's all we have for right now.
Yes.
But we really do appreciate your time, Nolan. Yes, thank you again.
So it's a pleasure. Take care.
Adios.
Stay gold.
Hi, everyone. We are with Vickie. She is one of the physical therapists that works on Broadway shows. She worked on Outsiders, and she recently just left, but she's here to talk to us all about her job, her role on Outsiders, and everything in between. Vickie, would you like to give a little intro about yourself to everybody that doesn't know you?
Sure. My name is Vickie Stambolian, and I'm a physical therapist. I've been a PT for 7 years now, which seems really crazy. But yeah, I graduated PT school in 2019 from SUNY Downstate in Brooklyn. I had no idea I was going to end up working with performers at all. I really just loved the profession and had a really open mind about what setting I would be working in. So the fact that I'm here now is really wild and just kind of like a dream come true that I didn't know that I even had. Yeah.
Awesome.
Pretty cool. So we got connected with Vickie through meeting cast members, and then we got connected with her at Brody's wrap party. So that was a super fun night that we were able to meet a whole bunch of people. But Vickie is one of our favorites that we've met.
That's so sweet.
No, for sure. Like, it's the craziest job, you know, like it's the job that you don't think you would need until like, oh, someone has a broken nose. Like,
yeah, exactly. It's just, you know, I would say that the company management of the Outsiders was so on point, on top of it, knowing in advance that they would need that support, some kind of medical professional backstage at all times. I was there 2 hours before curtain, treating, and there throughout the show, every single performance. So yeah, shout out to Outsiders general management and company management for knowing they needed it, because yeah, I was busy.
Right. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go through these questions that people have asked. So obviously, if you can't spill anything, it's just us. We'll edit it out. But
sounds good.
What's been like the craziest injury that you've worked on, like through Outsiders? Like, has there ever been something that's just been so wild that people might not know?
Let's see. I don't know if I could speak to anything specific, just for privacy reasons.
Oh, for sure.
I will say, the things that did end up happening, or I should say, let me rephrase that. I expected worse things to happen than it actually did. Yeah. Because I was actually with them from the rehearsal process.
Wow.
On Broadway. So like a few months before they opened in the studio, and watching them still really developing the show. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to see falls. I'm going to see concussions all the time. I'm going to see ankle injuries all the time. And really like big T trauma, injuries didn't happen on the stage. I mean, there were a couple, but it was like really few and far between, thankfully. It was mostly like repetitive stress kinds of things, just from having to do that show 8 times a week.
Definitely. It's definitely a very physical show.
Yeah.
Would you say it's like the most physical one that you've worked on?
This was only my second show working on full time. I did a couple of like coverages for, I did Harry Potter once, and MJ another time, and that is also really physical. There was actually there was an accident that happened too at Harry Potter the day that I covered, which was crazy. Yeah, and like one performer had to go to the ER. It was not good. So things happen everywhere. The show that I worked on full time before The Outsiders was Sleep No More, and that was a whole different thing. So because I don't know if you're familiar with that show, but it's an immersive experience. You're following performers running up and down stairs, like 5 stories, and they're all over the place. So yeah, that was also extremely physical, but it like you just can't compare the two. They're just different animals. Yeah.
Right.
And it's something you don't think about too. I'm sure when you first saw kind of the set or something like that, I'm sure you kind of had an idea of, oh, this is going to be so insane. I'm going to be so busy. And so it's kind of interesting to hear that, oh, it wasn't as bad as you would imagine. I'm sure there were so many injuries or just things you had to work on. But I'm sure like just not as bad as you initially imagined, I guess.
Yeah. Everybody knows about the broken noses and like things like that are not fun. But there's this funny photo that comes to mind that Milena Como actually took of me in the rehearsal studio. So this was like before anyone really even knew me that well. And the cast was rehearsing. They were doing some kind of, I think they were on, I think it was in the intro, the opening, when Sarah Grace is pulled up, Marcia is pulled up onto the rafters, and they were just doing it over and over again. And so Milena got a photo of me and my supervisor just like jaw drop, like, like, oh yeah, just like you could see the stress on my face, like, oh no, like this girl's arms are gonna fall off. Like that's just.
You're like, I'm gonna know her really well.
Yeah, but luckily, nothing happened there. Yeah.
So you mentioned like you went in from the rehearsal process.
Mm-hmm.
So going into the show, like first off, like how was your introduction? Like how did they get you onto this show? No?
It was so wild. No, I can talk about it. I'm just like, I'm honestly like in disbelief just that I even had this amazing experience working there.
Yeah.
So I was at Sleep No More, and unfortunately, after being there like 2 months is when they announced that it was closing.
Wow.
So I'm not independent as a PT. Like I work for a PT company, and they're called Neurotour rather. Neurotour is the umbrella company. Neurosport is the clinic in New York. So Neurotour was like, okay, Sleep No More is closing. We need to put you somewhere else. Like, what are we going to do? And it was like, oh, there's another show that's going to be opening on Broadway and they need a full-time PT. So it was like, just knowing that first, not knowing the show and being like, okay, what is this mystery show that they're sending me to? And then they told me it was the Outsiders, and they said, management wants to meet with me and just make sure I'm a good fit. So yeah, we had that meeting and hit it off really well from the very beginning. And they told us a lot about the show, and in that meeting, I was taking so many notes, just being like, what is this? Like, all the injuries they were worried about, the gravel and the jungle gym and the jumping on the car and everything. And, the special effects. I was like, oh my God, like they're going to get, their feet are going to break down from the water. Like, I don't know. I went to like the extremes. So I was like thinking of like all the things, all the preventative measures that the team would need in order to get the crew, the cast and the crew prepped for the show. And yeah, wardrobe was on top of that. They got fans. I'm sure you've seen them like on the stage, and they're backstage too, like drying the clothes and the shoes and everything, and getting, having all the duplicates so that the cast are wearing dry costumes as much as possible. All these like safety things that they have to know about going into it. We talked about that. And yeah, probably had like a few more meetings. And then it was like, okay, well, they're going to be at Open Jar Studios on, I think it was like February 2nd. So like literally 2 years ago. And they just brought me in, and like everybody was there. And it was just like, hey, this is Vickie. She's going to be your PT. And it was like just such a wild experience, because I was like, what am I doing here? I was like I had come from working, at just like general population orthopedic clinics. I worked at a preschool for a while, working with children. I was like, I never imagined that I would be in that capacity on Broadway. Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, but it happened. Yeah.
It's got to be so like just being in this kind of field, and then you're working on this kind of show I just can't imagine.
Yeah. And then once you're there, it's just like so immersive, because it's 6 days a week, and 2 show days are long days. You're there. It's like I think I was probably at the Jacobs more than I was home for the time that I was there. And yeah, I mean, no complaints. It was an amazing time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It seems like there was like a really good morale too, because we got to talk to Laura Galt, one of the producers earlier, and she said that just the morale backstage and by the whole crew and all of the cast, like even though you're there all the time, 6-8 days a week, like you have a good group of people to fall back on. So
yes, absolutely. Just like the camaraderie, and everybody's there for each other. Everybody is just like, this is my dream. I have to, and just very positive people in general. Always made me feel welcome from the very beginning, and kind of like just took me in as one of their own, even though I felt like an outsider at the Outsiders, because I was like, oh, I work for a PT company. But no, they made me feel like I was part of their team. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So this one is a fan asked question.
Fun.
With the broken noses.
Yeah.
Was it mostly soda pops, and was it mostly in the Rumble, or?
That's a good question. I know I have to like remember the instances now. I think it was just soda pop. No, I'm wrong about that. There was another broken nose that was not. It wasn't really like the track per se, but it was things happened often when a swing went on because like, you know, staging is slightly different. People, people's different, they're a different body size. Like they're just doing the moves a little bit differently. Like maybe the spacing is just like even an inch off, like that's it. You've made contact, there were just weird accidents. Yeah. I think there were some that like they couldn't even say when it happened.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That hurts.
It's really crazy how like, in the moment they are and their adrenaline is going and they just like don't feel things.
Right.
Yeah. Which is like a lot of what I learned about. It's like, one of them wasn't even bleeding. It was like, is it broken? Yeah.
Right.
One of them was bleeding. And then when I saw them, I didn't know if it was fake blood or real blood. I was just like, okay, let's just deal with this regardless,
That's gonna be kind of crazy too.
Yeah. And then as a PT, it's really outside of my scope to be treating a broken nose, but of course, assessing and just for their safety, because it's a head hit, I'm doing a concussion screen as well. And just making sure they know the precautions in case like they have any symptoms related to a concussion that they know what to do. But things like happen backstage, that, we're literally just outside of my scope. And I was like, okay, well, I assessed the situation. We clearly know you can't go back on. And then just referring them to their doctor, to their orthopedist or whomever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So another fan asked question. For a lot of our future performers that are watching this, what would you recommend would be the best way to prevent injuries like the ones you have seen in your career?
It's really such a boring answer because it's the basics, it's like get your sleep, drink lots of water, stay hydrated, and warm-ups and cool-downs are so important. When people skipped their warm-ups and cool-downs, you saw things happen. And then I think, one thing I wish I could have controlled, which like you can't, and I don't really know how you can, but I guess as a performer who is a dancer and who might be preparing to do something physical or like aspiring to do something physical, I should say, is just like get strong, work on your strength and mobility and your endurance, because you have to like think of it as like, training for a sport.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because then once you're there, it's like, you're doing the reps and you want to have been prepared already for the show versus like find out like, oh my God, I am fatiguing after every show. And then it takes months and months to actually get used to it.
So it's kind of a constant thing of you need to be on a good level throughout.
Yeah. A good baseline. And part of my job too, when I got there and a lot of PTs do this is just do like a one-on-one injury prevention screening for each individual performer, because like, you can give like the general advice, but you can look at each person and assess them and like find deficits and just tailor exercises or, any kind of strategies that they might need for their track.
Interesting.
I'm sure that's super helpful too. Like for them just personally, like outside of the show, I'm sure that's so helpful for them to kind of maybe know their pain points or what the best way is to kind of just
like habits, they're just like anybody else. Like they really, all of us have bad habits with our mobility and posture that, could lead to something down the line. So it's good knowledge to have.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just data, no judgment.
So we know that you've moved on from Outsiders. Are you able to tell us like what shows you work on now and what you kind of encounter in your position?
Yeah, I think so. I'm working for another clinic now, Manhattan Physio Group, and I'll be in the clinic, so I won't be backstage, but they do have some contracts for shows for backstage treatment. And the one constant one right now is Buena Vista Social Club. So I've been there a few times a week, like for the past couple of months. And they have like a totally different format for PT. It's just before the show, a few days a week, not even every day. Yeah. And that's just, I think, I could be totally wrong on this, but I think that's just like a general management decision for the show. And I'm sure like they could advocate for more if they wanted to, but I haven't seen that. So yeah, I'm just assuming.
You're so close to the Jacobs too, and
it's literally right next door, which is so wild. Like, yeah, it's just like I kept feeling like I was walking into the wrong building. Like, I was like, wait,
I mean, after so long,
like, am I supposed to be here? Okay, yes. And then I've totally popped into the Jacobs, you know, after my shift, which has been like such a crazy thing to be like now, like it's almost like a college campus, you know, like I'm just gonna go like visit the people in this building that I know. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. And it's such a cool thing to know that you built this kind of great relationship with everybody in the theater that you can do that, you know.
Exactly. It's such a unique thing to be there as, you know, a healthcare provider backstage, because you're, you know, they're your patients, but they're also your coworkers,
right?
And then friends, you know, potentially, which is like, you know, you don't really get that anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
So another question, fan asked question.
Yeah.
When you started your rehearsal process with Outsiders, from a medical standpoint, from like your standpoint as someone that's watching it all happen, did you know that it was going to be like a success? Did you think it was going to be a success, or?
I did not. I really had no clue. I was like, you know, and just like seeing it being like worked on still. Yeah, I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. It was really, it wasn't until, I think it was Open Dress. Yeah. Where I watched it from the audience, like in full. And that was the moment where I was like, oh my God, I was like crying, you know, and I knew the story. Like you know, I'd see them working on it over and over again. And I was shocked at my own reaction to it, because I thought I was like already desensitized, you know? Yeah. I had no clue.
Well, I'm sure it added to it that you knew these people. Like at this point, you would have already known them, and it's very.
Yeah, I think that was it too. It was just like seeing them succeed and like their talent, you know, because like they have their guard down backstage. They're just who they are, you know, each individual, and then like you almost forget like what they can do when you're just like casual with them. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, like they're all so talented. And I was blown away that first time I saw them from the audience.
Like you almost take yourself out of it,
and like I was so scared of getting sick of the music when I was at Sleep No More, like knowing I was going to transition to a musical. I was like so scared. I was like, can I be there every day? Like, am I going to hate this? You know, are the songs going to get stuck in my head and it's going to drive me crazy? And the songs did get stuck in my head every single day. Every morning when I woke up, something was in my head. For some reason, Justice for Tulsa was most commonly in my head. It wasn't like a conscious decision. It was, you know, it was like, and then some days I was like, oh, that one, interesting. Okay. Like throwing in the towel. Like, okay, yeah, I'd rather pick that one, you know, to like be stuck in my head first thing in the morning. But so, it was like, it was just, like I said, like just so immersive. It was my life. But I never got sick of it. I was like,
That's really cool.
This is just like a question that we talked about that we thought it would be fun to ask you. But since you've like listened to the music so much, I'm sure you've seen the show a good amount of times. Do you have a favorite character or a favorite song or a favorite scene?
Oh, I love Johnny. I feel like that might be like the cliche answer. But like, I had a thing for Dally for a little bit too. I was like, oh, Dally is just like such a cool character, and like, you know, everybody who played Dally did such a phenomenal job and played him differently. And I was like, you know, blown away at like how they can bring different things to the track, and it's still amazing. I think I just like an underdog, really, and someone to like tug at my heartstrings. So probably Johnny for them. Yeah, mostly.
So
sorry, was there another question that I didn't answer? I'm sorry.
You know, just asking favorite parts or anything like that. But
favorite part is tough. Yeah, I feel like
It changes too.
Maybe, yeah, I feel like it always changed. And then I would notice something different, on a different day, and then fall in love with a different scene. I feel like Grease Got a Hold was always just like really awesome to watch. Like really like the dance heavy scenes.
Yeah.
And numbers. Yeah.
This is another random question. Was there ever a point in the show that you were maybe a little nervous about every time? I mean, you're obviously very much a professional, but is there anything that you were like nervous about? Like, was the Rumble a little nerve-wracking for you because you were like, oh, somebody might get hurt, there might be a little problem here, anything like that?
In the beginning, yeah, I would say the Rumble was like the thing that I was like, it's so chaotic, but controlled at the same time. Like, obviously, they took such care to make it safe and just still have it look dangerous and chaotic. So every show, though, I wasn't nervous, after like the first few weeks. I was like, okay, like everybody's good. But I would still make it a point to check in with everybody right after the Rumble for every show.
That's great.
Yeah. And then like just, individual things where if I knew someone was in pain, I would make sure to like watch that scene and make sure that they're taking care of whatever the body part is that's injured and like check in with them afterwards. Yeah. But like nothing specific that was like every single time. Yeah.
I'm sure it's nerve-wracking too. I'm like hearing you speak and I'm like, oh, this is like typical like aunt mom behavior, like, ooh, watching just to make sure everyone's good. But
I know I kind of felt like everybody's mom a little bit too, just because of like the age difference as well. It was like, oh, they're all my children. Yeah.
But I'm sure like that added another layer of comfort for the actors. Like, I mean, I've taken some directing classes before in college, and one of the big things is like making a safe space for the performers in order to blossom. And that's something that, like, hearing you speak about it, like you're checking in with people, you're making sure they're okay, making sure that they're doing all their precautionary work. Like, that's how they become, like, that's how it became the best musical, like.
That's how they get better.
Yeah, just like the, everybody trusting each other. Yeah. But yeah, that was a big thing for me, is making everybody feel safe to come to me, because I didn't want anyone to, be scared about pain they were in and, nervous to like tell someone. To like, I wanted to make sure that we could address it and they can feel comfortable coming to me.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So another fan has asked, as your role as physical therapist, what is a show that you would love to work on at some point? Whether it be like because of the technicality, because of the physicality, like what's something you want to do?
That is a good question. I don't know if I ever considered that as from like a PT perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. As a fan, I have shows in mind. Like, I'm just a huge fan of Hamilton, and I'm like, that would just be crazy if I would.
That'd be perfect.
That's another one.
There. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. Nothing. I did love my time at Sleep No More, and I thought like the immersive experience was just so cool. So maybe something like Masquerade, or if anything else is created in that realm.
Definitely cool.
I mean, there's so many shows that come to mind too, where you're like, I'm sure there's some that are like, these probably, like the actors here probably don't need as much, and then there's some where you're like, they need like 4 of me.
Yeah, and that's how I felt sometimes too. I just, there were like 2 people like coming into my room, and I was just like, okay, let's work this out. Yeah, like how can we manage this? And then, yeah, I lost my train of thought. But in terms of shows I would want to work at, I kind of feel like I would want to work somewhere maybe where it's not like so obviously physical, because like. Everyone has their issues, and you're doing something 8 shows a week. Like even, I was treating crew a lot. It's pretty brutal walking up and down those stairs backstage in the theater. And, just like run of the mill things. Like I'm, very interested in just working with anyone from any walk of life. So, yeah, even if it's not such a physical show, but they're having issues and need some kind of maintenance care, you know, I'd be happy to do that.
We might hit you up the next time we're in the city.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so final question on our end, and then Andrew, if we can spit some out if we have any extra ones. But through your time on Outsiders and you look back on like your memories with these people, do you have like a favorite memory or sentimental moment that you wouldn't mind sharing with us?
Oh, wow. That's so tough.
If you cry, it's okay. But...
I know. I was like, am I going to cry? Yeah. Generally, I think just like the camaraderie. I don't know if I have anything specific that I can mention, but yeah, I mean, just seeing like getting like positive feedback from the performers and even backstage crew, like anyone in the company, just getting positive feedback for my work. I think it was just the most rewarding thing and made me love being there, you know, made me love it even more, aside from like the magic of being in a Broadway theater.
Right.
That, you know, cause that's just huge. You know, seeing my name in the playbill.
Yeah, that's gotta be amazing.
Now I'm like, even still, I'm like, me? Like, what? I deserve that? Yeah. Like, craziest thing. Seeing, oh, you know what I loved? I have a young niece and nephew. They're 7 and 10. And my sister brought them to see the show like maybe like a month before I left. And I was like, thank God they finally came to see it. It was like, you know, touch and go whether or not my sister felt like they were old enough at 7 and 10. But yeah, she brought them and like, I was so overjoyed to be able to show them what I do, you know, and to bring them backstage and to get to meet some of the cast and crew. And they were just like having a blast. And it just meant so much to me to be able to show them that.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Awesome. You're inspiring the next generation.
I hope so. Yeah. It's a cool thing that like, you know, people don't know this exists. And, you know, these performers, they really need the support. It's not like a frivolous perk at all. It's like they work so hard. Like you can't even imagine. So yeah.
Definitely.
Necessary.
Yeah, it's very medically necessary.
Well, that's all of our questions. Well,
cool.
Have a good night, Vickie. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Have fun the rest of the con.
Thank you. Today we are interviewing BuzzFeed's one and only Andrew David.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You might know him from doing some interviews with the cast of Avatar: The Last Airbender, with the cast of Narnia, and also with our favorite, Brody. So welcome. Thank you for having us answer like all these questions and stuff. So it's very not formal. So people are shooting in questions and we'll just shoot them off. But obviously, first up, can you give us a little background, like how you got your position at BuzzFeed?
Yeah, so the interesting thing about my position is that I actually do my writing and my interviews on the side, almost like a hobby. I actually work in data analytics for BuzzFeed. So I got my master's degree, and then I've been working there for 4 years now on the data side of things. And a couple years into it, I started writing some articles, and I was like, wow, this is actually a lot of fun. Like I love to write. I've always loved to write. And so I approached our team and I was like, oh, do you guys want any help? Like, you don't have to pay me for my writing. Like, I just want to help out. And I had all these ideas of people I wanted to talk to. And they were like, you know what, they go for it. Well, we'll start it out, see how everything's going. And they helped me out. I started doing a couple smaller interviews, and then they just said, you know what, you're doing great, like continue on. And it's just been really fun to get to do that on the side and get to do tech stuff and also writing stuff and kind of combine two of my favorite things together. So I kind of made my own path, but I've always loved to write since I was a kid. So it's really a dream come true for me to get to do this.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
So someone asked, what is your favorite part of working at BuzzFeed? What's the favorite part of your job?
Yeah, I think my favorite part of the job is I've been a BuzzFeed superfan since I was in college. I remember my friends would always be like, ha ha ha, you're always on BuzzFeed. And I'm like, yeah, I'm always on BuzzFeed. So getting to work at a place that I know really well, almost from like a fan perspective, it's just so fun to see the inner workings of things, even looking at like how the data works and getting to see page views coming in and getting to just like answer questions from stakeholders about the site and about the performance. Just as a fan of the site, it's just fun to get to do that. I think it's always fun to work somewhere where you love the product. And I love BuzzFeed. I've always loved BuzzFeed. So that's for me my favorite part, is working at a place where I'm a fan of the place. And, you know, it's just fun to show up to work every day and be like, oh, what's going to happen today? You know, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Definitely. Okay, another question just came in. Who has been your favorite person / people you've interviewed?
So I'm not just saying this because this is the Outsiders Con, but definitely Brody was, both Brody and Jason were two of my favorites. And I would say my third were the cast of SpongeBob. And all three of them had very similar, they were all just so warm to talk to and so open and so easy to talk to, I think was the thing that struck me about it. Sometimes when you interview someone, you're not sure, like, oh, are they going to be, you know, like really hard to talk to, or you kind of get a little nervous, but many people I've talked to have just been so open and forthcoming. And Brody and Jason especially, I think, were both just so warm and easy to talk to, and I really enjoyed getting to meet with them and hear their perspectives.
Cool. So another person asked, have you ever been starstruck by someone you interviewed?
Yeah, I think the most starstruck I've ever been, my sister and I are super fans of Evanescence. And I put out an article of my favorite songs of the year so far back in 2025, and I put one of their new songs on, and I was talking with their management team, and he was like, oh, do you happen to do interviews? Would you want to talk to Amy? I had to read that a couple times. I'm like, wait a second, is this going to happen? And so one of the first times I ever was truly starstruck, I think, in an interview where my sister was like, deep breaths, Andrew, it's going to be good. But then once she popped on the screen and we started talking, I was like, you know what? This is fine. Like, she's just a person, you know? But she was really, that was probably the most starstruck I've ever been. Just it's Amy Lee, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
That's very cool. I mean, that's got to be part of the process, like every time too, I'm sure.
I think in the beginning it was a lot tougher for me to like separate person from like fame. But now at this point, I've done this 50, 60 times. So when I talk to someone, I'm like, okay, you know, it's not so new to me. Where in the beginning I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this.
For sure.
That's what we've been going through this weekend. Someone asked, what has been one of the hardest parts of your job?
Yeah, so I think in terms of the data side, one of the hardest parts of the data side is just there's so much data to work with. I mean, when you're working with a site like BuzzFeed where millions of people come, the data is huge. And so you're working with these massive tables and it's just so much to work with. On the interviewing side, definitely scheduling is the most difficult part, because especially people like Amy Lee and these massive superstars, you know, their schedules are wild. So it's a lot of going back and forth with their teams, and then a lot of flexibility. And it could be hard to have a flexible schedule. You know, I'm sure you know that you're working full time, and if you pick a time and then sometimes it gets changed, it's like, oh, I hope I could still do it. So I would say scheduling is the hardest part on the interview side, for sure.
Definitely. Okay, someone asked, has anyone in an interview been a little too open with you? Like, how do you go through like picking and choosing what's included?
That's a great question. I'm not going to name names, but there were a few people that have said things where their PR team, I could see their faces like, oh. And when that happens, typically their PR will either email me after and say like, hey, like, would you mind not mentioning X, Y, and Z? But one thing that I always do, and I think one thing that I know Brody appreciated and everyone I've talked to appreciated, is I always give their team or the person that I'm talking to a chance to read the draft before I publish it. I don't know if that's something that's done often in the world of like celebrity interviews, where like the talent or the team gets to look at what's going to be published. And 90% of the time it's, yeah, it's fine. But there are some times, oh, can you rephrase this? Or I didn't quite mean it like that. And I think for me as a writer, I would just hate for something to be published and someone to email me and say they're not happy with how you worded this. I always like that confirmation of, this is awesome, I can't wait for it to be out, because then I feel good, like, okay, now I also can't wait for it to be out, you know?
Yeah.
Very solidifying.
Yes, exactly. I like to solidify that, you know, you're happy, I'm happy, we're all happy.
Right.
Someone asked, who has been the biggest person that you've interviewed?
Yeah, I would say probably, I was thinking about this, and there's a couple tiers, I think, in terms of like the millennial Gen Z tier, probably the cast of Avatar: The Last Airbender or the cast of SpongeBob. Who doesn't know SpongeBob and Avatar? But in the terms of like overall celebrity, probably Barbara Eden from I Dream of Jeannie. I mean, she's just like the most iconic. Who is more iconic than Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie? That she was another person. She's 94 now, and she is sharp and on it, and she was just so much fun to talk with. And that was another one where I was a little starstruck. Like, oh gosh. So yeah, I would say probably her from like an overall standpoint, but probably SpongeBob and Avatar from like people our age kind of standpoint.
That's so cool.
Okay. Someone asked, as a writer, how is it getting criticism?
Typically I don't get criticism about my writing. There are, people on any news site can comment things like, oh, this is dumb, or like, or I found like sometimes like BuzzFeed has little reactions at the bottom. You could put like a heart, or you could put like a smiley face. They have an angry reaction. Sometimes I get like a couple, dozen hearts and like an angry reaction. Like, who's the angry reaction? Why would you be angry with this? Right. So in the beginning, one thing I learned, I used to work at Rolling Stone magazine, which was my first job out of grad school. And I know it sounds like a flex saying that, but it just happened to fall in the right place. But my boss told me, she goes, never read the comments. Never read the comments. That's something you learn quickly as a writer. I sometimes still read the comments, but typically 95% of the time, they're always nice. So.
Yeah. Okay, someone asked, do you have a dream person you would like to interview?
Yeah, actually, I was talking to my mom about this yesterday. It's never going to happen because she's too famous, but Celine Dion, I think, is my dream person to interview. Yeah, at the moment, because it used to be Amy Lee, and then that happened. Then it used to be the SpongeBob cast, and that happened. So I'm going down my list of dream interviews, and I'm down to Celine Dion, and we'll see if that ever happens.
Well, you just spoke it into existence. Yeah. So.
Manifesting. If you see the Celine Dion, call me.
Aside from Outsiders people, have you interviewed anyone else from Broadway?
Yeah, and actually I have a couple in the works, but two people I interviewed outside of Brody and Jason from Broadway. Brody introduced me to Danya, who directed John Proctor as the villain. And so I got to talk to Fina Straza, who was the youngest Tony nominee that year. She played, I think it was Beth in John Proctor. And so I saw the play. Gosh, it's an amazing play. And then we talked on Zoom right before the Tony Awards, and that was really cool. And then the other interview I did last year, which was really amazing, I went to the Hadestown Theater to talk to Jack Wolf. And one thing he told me, which kind of, I put it in the first paragraph of his interview, but it really threw me for a loop and made me think like, oh, people actually read what I put out. When I met him, he goes, oh, it's so cool to meet you because I'm a big Bob's Burgers fan. And I read your interview with the cast. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. So yeah, I think those two are other Broadway ones I've done, but I'm currently in talks with a couple teams right now from Hadestown and a couple other shows to do more Broadway, because I think I really enjoy being in the city. You're right by the theater. But why not explore that some more?
Right.
I'm manifesting that you interview someone from Ragtime.
Oh man.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm manifesting it. Someone asked, if you are a Broadway fan, what shows would you recommend as a fan?
Definitely Hadestown. I mean, obviously you're all Outsiders fans, so I've seen it 8 times, so always go see Outsiders. But Hadestown, I think, is a play that I hadn't seen until last year. I grew up loving Greek mythology and Roman mythology, and it's based off of the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. So you might go into it knowing how it ends. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to say anything, but you might go into it knowing how it ends if you read the myth. But it's a beautiful play, and it's a beautiful cast and a beautiful score, and I really recommend Hadestown for sure.
Definitely. You need Ragtime.
Yeah, I need to go see Ragtime for sure.
We're big into it.
Yeah, big fans of Ragtime. Okay, another fan asked, with your writing, what are some tips and tricks for inspiring writers?
Yeah, I think writing interviews is interesting because I actually find the hardest piece of writing the interview is writing the introduction. Because when you write the actual interview, you're basically taking what they said, maybe cleaning it up and then polishing it and compressing if they spoke a lot, and just getting the major details for print. But writing the intro is hard because that's all you. So I would say write about something that you're passionate about, because it's not easy to write about something you're not passionate about. So any interview that I do, it's always something that I know that I'm a fan of, because if I'm not, it's just going to be so hard for me to try and sound good. So I would say write about something you're passionate about for sure.
Okay, another question. This one's interesting. Was there an interview you weren't looking forward to, but then once you did it, it's become one of your favorites?
I've never not looked forward to an interview, but there was one in particular where I was offered, over the past year, I've actually been offered a lot of pitches. Before, in the beginning, it was me reaching out to these PR teams and teams, and now I'm starting to get pitches. I got a pitch for Cassandra Peterson, who is Elvira, the Mistress of the Dark, if you're an 80s horror fan. And I've heard of her, but I didn't really know who she was. I'm a little out of that age range. And I asked my mom, like, do you know Elvira? And she goes, oh, Elvira, oh my gosh. I was like, oh no, you can't pass Elvira. You have to say yes. And so I watched her movie. I watched a bunch of clips on YouTube. I was like, oh my God, she's incredible. So that was one where I was kind of like, I don't know. I just don't know anything about her. And then once my mom showed me some of her stuff, I was like, oh, I have to talk to her. And it wound up being one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. She's so hilarious. And now I actually work with her team regularly. They also rep Jeanette McCurdy from who just released a book, and I got to do an interview with Jeanette McCurdy, which was cool. So once you start working with the team, you get to also work with their other clients, which is also nice.
Okay. Another person asked, what is a piece that you've worked on that you're most proud of?
I would say Brody's piece, I think, is the one I'm the most proud of, not only because it was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done, and he's just an amazing person, but because I tried to structure it a little bit differently. When you do a Zoom call, it's very easy to just your introduction to be like, we sat on Zoom to talk about this, this, and this, because, that's really all we did. But in the case with his was one of my first, I think it was my second ever in-person interview. And now I've done close to 10 to 15 just from over the year. But I was still kind of nervous. Like, oh, it's in person. I'm not used to this. But again, like, Brody, he's just so easy to talk to. And he took me around the theater. He showed me backstage. He introduced me to everyone. And it really made me feel that I could write something deeper than just we sat down to talk about The Outsiders. And I was really proud of how I structured that one and how it came out, I think. I was really proud of that one.
Ooh, another question about digital media. What's one of the lessons that you've taken away from working in digital media?
Yeah, I think one of the lessons I've learned is that digital media is a fickle world in the sense of you never know when good and bad things are going to happen. So if you've been seeing a lot of like layoffs from digital media companies or lots of kind of tumultuous signs in that world, when you're a website that's like a blog, a big New York Times, a big site like that, you're reliant on Google and Facebook and Twitter, Instagram to be sending people to your site. Only so many people only your super fans are going to come directly to your site. So when these algorithms change, when Mark Zuckerberg wakes up and says, okay, we want to prioritize keeping people on Facebook and not sending them to external links, and they're going to show your post to less people, that's going to affect traffic. So you're very reliant on these algorithms, I would say. And it's just very difficult to predict what's going to happen because you never know when someone's going to change something. So one thing that we've learned is that you really want to rely on yourself and your own site and trying to optimize that as best as possible versus trying to optimize for an algorithm, because you can optimize for an algorithm, like Google's algorithm, then they wake up and they change it. It's like, all right, back to square one.
Definitely. Okay, someone asked, what's something about either of your jobs that surprised you once you started?
Yeah, I think something that surprised me about BuzzFeed was just how much I was going to love data analytics, because that was really my first real data analytics job outside from my master's degree. And I kind of went into it not knowing, oh, I knew I liked my program, my degree, but now you're applying it to the real world. And I fell in love with programming and SQL and Python. And it's just something that I didn't think I'd wake up 4 years later and still be excited to go to work. And that sounds cliche, but yeah, tomorrow, I don't have the Sunday scaries because I'm excited to go to work tomorrow. So I think that's something that shocked me, was like how excited I'd still be to go to work tomorrow 4 years later. It's a good thing. I'm happy about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's such a, I want to say, like, I don't know if lucky is the right word, but it's
a gift.
Yeah.
Flex.
It's a flex.
Okay, so another person asked, not interview based, but who is the craziest person you've met on your journey with digital media and everything?
Yeah, it is probably someone that I've met on an interview, just because, people you meet at work are typically, they're really cool, but it's people that you can meet them on LinkedIn. I think that the crazy part of it is people that I never thought I would get a chance to meet. People like this, I think the cast of SpongeBob is always going to be my go-to answer, because that was when I was just starting out on interviewing, and I had just done a couple, and a really sweet, wonderful person in Nickelodeon kind of took a chance on me, and I had only published a couple articles, and she really said, like, I'll set you up and we'll get the cast of SpongeBob to work with you. And I could have been an alpha writer. She didn't know. And so I would always be grateful for her to taking a chance on me. And when I walked into the Paramount New York City building, and they were all sitting there, and they're all staring at me, and the voice of Sandy Cheeks, we had talked a couple of weeks earlier, she came down, and we're actually acquaintances now. She's the sweetest person, but she gave me a big hug, and she's like, it's so nice to meet you in person. And at that moment, I had that freeze frame. You might wonder how my life ended up this way. I think that is just, I will never get over that moment, and I'm always grateful to the PR team at Nickelodeon for working with me on that.
So cool.
It's so funny you say that. Matt and I are like in the process of rewatching SpongeBob.
Oh, look at that.
On like season 5. So we've been talking about SpongeBob for the past like 3 weeks. So
I still talk about, I quote SpongeBob every day of my life.
Oh yeah. Okay. Another person asked, how do you get over, reaching out and saying, hi, I want to interview you, or hi, can we make a connection? Like, what's your best practices with that?
In the beginning, I'm not going to lie, I mean, Mom, can you read over this email? My mom and my sister are my two biggest editors for everything. They read over all my articles. They make it, my sister's really, she took like all the AP language classes in high school. She's really good at grammar and stylistic things, but my mom is great at more the businessy side of stuff. She's a professor, so she also emails people all the time. And so in the beginning, it was a lot of, hey, Mom, like, does this sound good? Does this sound business-like? And after you do it a couple times and you see what works and what doesn't work, and you kind of can analyze, okay, I got more responses structuring it this way. You kind of get over that sense of, what if, no, I don't hear back, and what if I get a rejection? You get a couple of rejections, yeah, but once you start getting those acceptance, yes, you start building your confidence, and you get a couple of rejections, you go, but I got these yeses, so I'm doing something right. Once you get that feeling of I'm doing something right, I think you get over that kind of initial apprehensiveness.
Yeah, I know a lot of the people that are watching have their own podcasts, and that a lot of them are like aspiring performers too. So on the flip side of that, like, what's the best way to reach out to people to make those connections? And I'm almost positive you're the CEO of having connections. So.
I would say definitely don't be afraid to reach out. One thing in the beginning, I'm like, who am I to reach out to this? Don't be afraid to reach out, because the worst someone can say is nothing. I'd rather get a no than a nothing. I just hate that silence of like, are they going to respond or they're not going to respond? But yeah, I think just being yourself, just being genuine. So many of people that pitch will send like an automated, people are used to getting things that sound AI generated, or things that sound like they were made from a computer, that they put you on a list and you get sent to all. If you make your request sound genuine, give your personal connection to something. It doesn't have to be lengthy, but just make it sound genuine. People will respond to that. because people are so used to getting something that's just a hi, I would like to talk to XYZ, thank you, bye. Just make yourself stand out by sounding genuine, I think, is the way to go.
Definitely. Okay, someone asked, after an interview, what do you do for fun?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I love, I used to be a bigger like book reader. I used to love reading. Now I find that I like TV shows a lot more. So I love watching TV shows. I also love bullet journaling. If you guys are into that, my friend got me into it. If you don't know what that is, a journal, but instead of lines, they have like bullet points, and you can make charts, and it's kind of more analytic-y. I use it for like making calendars and goals, and I always theme it. So I had like a SpongeBob theme journal one year. That was a lot of fun. And then the other thing I like to do, I love autograph collecting. And actually, I've been doing it since I was 7. So that's a hobby that I love doing, is like writing to celebrities through the mail. And writing to celebrities through the mail as a kid definitely helped me learn how to write emails to their teams and to PR pitches and stuff like that. So it all kind of connected together.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. So who's the coolest autograph you have?
It's not going to be an answer that you'd expect, but my favorite book of all time is Tuck Everlasting, the book about the family that lives forever from drinking the water.
Yeah.
And the author passed away 6 months after I wrote to her. She sadly had cancer, Natalie Babbitt, but she wrote back to me, and she actually wrote me a whole letter. And that's the autograph I treasure the most. And sometimes I read over it, and she told me, you know, I think she said to me, I read your letter many times. It's a good piece of work, and maybe you'll tell your own story someday. And now 10 years later,
wow,
I am. So, Natalie Babbitt, you inspired me.
That's so cool.
You keep speaking things into existence, like you were like.
I'm a good manifester. Yeah.
Well, dang, we need to start bullet journaling too.
Yeah, bullet journaling is the way to go. I tell you.
That's really cool. Is there this just popped into my head. So you interview so many famous people, and you are a big like autograph collector. Is there any part of you that's always like, I would love to have their signature right now?
Oh, you better believe it. And actually, when I do in-person interviews, I typically do wind up getting. Typically, they don't mind. Like when I talked to the Bob's Burgers cast at Comic-Con, that was another moment where I'm sitting here. There's a big table, the whole Bob's Burgers cast is sitting around me like we're at dinner. I was just like, how is this happening right now? And at the end, I made them all like little handmade thank you cards, and they were very touched by that. And I was like, I think it's safe to ask them if they wouldn't mind signing something. So I typically, you get the vibes, but typically people are happy to, if they like you and you're genuine, they're happy to sign something.
We kind of touched on that last night when we were on a panel and they were asking like, what's the best way to approach an actor and what's the best way to ask for an autograph? And it's like, well, just don't be selfish, don't be
weird,
Yeah, like, 9 times out of 10 it's a yes, but okay.
Just be normal.
Just
exactly.
normal. What is the most recent Broadway show you've seen, and did you like it or not?
It actually was Hadestown, and I saw it a couple weeks before I talked to Jack, and I'd been wanting to see it anyway, but having that date of like, oh, I need to see it before this date, otherwise I'm not going to know what I'm talking about. That definitely motivated me to go more, but oh God, Hadestown blew me away. And I think Jack will be in it until the end of February, then they're bringing in a whole new cast. So definitely, if you haven't seen Jack, go before March, but the new cast is going to be amazing too. So can't recommend it enough. Probably my second favorite play behind Outsiders.
Outsiders is just one of those ones. Like
it's one of those ones that just you can't get enough of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like we have friends that have seen it 50 times. We know somebody that's seen it over 100 times. And
my 8 times does not sound like a lot compared to that.
Yeah, you don't feel as bad.
We've seen it
10. I've seen it 10. You've seen it
12.
Wow, okay.
But that includes like Broadway and the tour. But still, like
still counts.
Yeah, and then as soon as we get home, we're like, oh, let's go see it again.
Round 2, round 13.
So when can we get on a flight? Ooh, someone asked, this is an Outsiders related question. What's been the most memorable time that you've seen Outsiders?
Definitely the first time I saw Outsiders, and I'll tell you the story. So I walked in and I saw it. So when I got the Facebook ad for the Outsiders, and I wasn't really into Broadway before that. I had gone to plays, but the Outsiders and specifically really Brody's performance got me into Broadway. It was just so inspiring. But the first time I went was kind of on a whim. I went opening previews weekend, which was the first weekend in March that it was going. And I walk in, this lady in front of me starts squealing, "Ooh, that's Angelina Jolie." And I had no idea about that she was involved in it. I was like, yeah, it looks like her, but what would she be doing here? And she said, "It's Angelina Jolie." So I get down to my seat. I don't believe that it's her. I think it's, she looks like her. I'm searching on the play. I have 20 minutes before it starts, and I'm seeing Angelina Jolie is the executive producer. What's Angelina Jolie? So I walked down to the orchestra, and she's just standing there, no bodyguards, just standing there on her phone. And we kind of made eye contact, and she kind of beckoned me over. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to bother you, but you're Angelina Jolie." And we talked for a couple minutes about the play and how I read it in 7th grade. And she was so sweet. She signed my playbill. She's like, "I'd be honored to sign your playbill." I'm like, "Okay." And then I didn't ask for a picture. I didn't want to make a scene, but I went back to my seat. And in intermission, a couple students from college were there, and they were like, "Did you hear Angelina Jolie might be in the audience tonight?" I was like, "Really?" I had no idea. So yeah, that was definitely my most memorable. I couldn't concentrate, and that was the reason I went back the second time, because I was like, "What happened?" I met Angelina Jolie, and then the play was over, and so I had to see it the second time because I'm like, "What happened?" I don't remember.
Okay, in similar fashion, is there a memorable scene, song, moment in the show that inspires you?
Definitely the first time I saw Great Expectations, and the past couple times I saw Brody, I told him, when we talked about the show, I told him how that moment actually, because I hadn't really been writing before I saw The Outsiders. I started really doing writing and interviewing August of 2024, and I saw Outsiders March of 2024. There's a correlation. And when I saw him sing and I saw the Rumble scene and really just seeing everything for the first time kind of reminded me how much I love storytelling and how much I love writing and how much I love plays. And I started seeing Broadway a lot more after that. Then I started really reaching out to our teams and, "Hey, can I write?" So seeing that was so special to me, as special it was for for the cast to do the performance, and it's also so special for the audience because they inspire so many people with their performance, and they totally inspired me. So
yeah, that's such a testament to like how much this show can influence other people. Like that's awesome. I've always loved drawing and things like that. But I remember the first time we saw The Outsiders, and I was speaking about this in another one of our interviews this weekend, where it's kind of like every time you go, or even if you just go one time, you can get so much inspiration from just seeing the story. Like I remember the first time we saw the show, and when Run Run Brothers started, and it was like galley and a red like door background kind of thing. I was like,
wait a second.
Okay. And that inspired the first kind of piece I did for The Outsiders. And then after that, it was Great Expectations, and then everything else followed,
Snowballed from there. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's just like that inspiration,
It's also amazing like how this show can bring so many different people together. Like that's how we met you.
Exactly.
Just through this, and that's how we met. I mean, all our best friends are all from Outsiders things, and it's just so, I don't know, it's so surreal, like how much a piece of art can impact.
It's really built a community, I think.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It has, and that's just a testament of everything that Outsiders like is. It's about community and about family, and you just kind of find your own.
It's sweet. Yeah.
Okay, kind of another Outsiders question from the fans. Who is your favorite character in Outsiders? And sidebar, if it isn't one of the people you have interviewed, would you want to interview the actor?
Yeah, so I think my favorite character is Ponyboy, specifically Brody's Ponyboy. because it's the one that I started. You know, he's the one that I saw the first time I saw Outsiders. But I think Ponyboy is just a character that he's so like if you're an English major, you can write essays and essays about his conflict and his growth and his evolution. But another favorite character is Johnny, and I would love to interview Sky before he leaves. So
Really cool.
maybe I can reach out and see if that happens. But I think
Speaking it into existence right now.
and manifest it. Right?
You need to interview Benel. He plays Johnny on the tour.
Oh, fun!
Yeah, super nice.
Yeah, when the tour comes close to you, we will fly up and see it with you.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I would love that.
It is so good. Okay, someone else has asked, is there a actor in a Broadway show that you would like to interview before their run is up, aside from Outsiders?
Yeah, so I'm actually talking with their team right now, and I'm hoping it works out. But I'd love to talk to Joshua Bassett from Little Shop. And I think he's going to be in Little Shop until March. So we're going to see. It's already spoken into the scheduling process, but like I mentioned, like scheduling is so difficult. Right. So I'm hoping that it works out, but I think he's my pick. I would love to talk to Joshua.
Really cool.
We need you to interview Joshua Henry from Ragtime.
Oh, there you go. I got to add that one to my list to see for sure.
Tony winner, future Tony winner. But yeah, that's another one. We'll fly up and see it with you. Okay, another one. Is there someone that you've interviewed that you are now close with?
Yeah, so definitely Brody is someone that we've become friends over the year, which has been really, really amazing and really sweet. Carolyn Lawrence, the voice of Sandy, she's the person I've interviewed the most out of the 60 that I've done so far. We follow each other on Instagram, and we'll say hi, and we'll like each other's stories, and it's very sweet. And sometimes she'll reach out, like she reached out about Jimmy Neutron turned 25, which is absolutely insane. And I just published that one last week. Yeah. But she was like, "Oh, would you wanna do so?" I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, of course, I'm always down. So I think those two in particular, I never expected, you never expect to become close with someone that you interview, but sometimes it happens, which is really sweet.
That's really cool too. It's just another thing of like how much art can bring people together, and all walks of life, all different people. Okay, we are on our final question for you. And this one has been asked a couple of times, but as like young artists, the ones that are watching this, like what is your biggest lesson that you've learned on your journey, and what's something you'd like to give to them before we hang up?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is never be afraid to put yourself out there, because like I said, the worst that can happen is nothing happens. The thing that I never want to feel is any regret of what if I had asked for this and what if I had tried for this. I never want to feel that way. It's just the worst feeling in my opinion of, oh, I hate the what if. So try to never have that feeling of what if, and try to always, even if you don't feel like you're ready, or if you don't feel like who am I to ask for something? You never know what's going to happen. Just try. I would say just try.
Definitely. Well,
and thank you for all these amazing. I wasn't expecting so many amazing questions. It was really fun. Thank you, everyone.
We were very excited to talk to you.
Well, thank you again for having me. This is my first time being the interviewee in a long time, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you a lot.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We are with two very special people that made Tulsa on Broadway come to life. Introducing Miss Kathleen and Miss Laura. They are two of the many producers on Outsiders, and we are so excited to have them today. How are you all doing? How's everything going in your world?
Oh my gosh, great.
Good. Very excited to have you all on. So I have some questions for you all. Some of these have been submitted by fans, and some of them Andrew, Matt, and I kind of ping-ponged about that we would love to ask and get some answers on. But so as producers of this show, first off, could you explain to some of the younger audience members who are interested in going into the Broadway performance field, like what a producer does for a show?
Sure. And I was going to say, I'm going to pit Laura is the OG, as they would say in this, and I have been learning from her for the last few years. So
Yeah.
Laura, you start.
Well, so Kathleen and I are both co-producers. So there are different levels of producers on a Broadway show. So there are our lead producers, and I'm working under the Araka group, but obviously there are other lead producers like Angelina Jolie and the Olympus group, and Larry and Sue. So like those are some of our leaders. And then I work under the Araka group, and we co-producers either like help raise money and bring in sponsorships for the show, while the lead producers lead the day-to-day. And or some co-producers invest a certain amount of money to be at a co-producer level.
Very cool.
And I would say, Laura, wouldn't you say as well, like, you know, there definitely is some a chance to have some input on the marketing level, and it's really, Laura, wouldn't you say it's really a team effort, especially in the beginning? I mean, they wanted everyone to know about this show, and they were leaning just as much on every single investor and producer as they were, their own team.
Very cool.
Yeah. It really is a team effort all around.
Well, you can definitely tell with the show, like everyone has been like in harmony. So I think that's one of the big appeals of the show, is that everyone just seems so tight knit and everyone's on the same page and things like that. So you can definitely tell. So as producers, when this show came on your radar and you were asked to come on, or when you first were offered the show, what were your all's initial pull-ins for it? Like, is there something that just spoke to you that made you want to become a producer for it?
So I first heard about the show from a colleague of mine that at the time was the Paramount theatrical rep. And she was talking about The Outsiders was becoming a musical. And she also mentioned that Jamestown Revival was going to be on the composing team. And I grew up in Oklahoma. So immediately I was like, oh, Oklahoma narrative.
Yeah.
And then currently Kathleen and I both live in Austin. And so then I was like, Jamestown Revival is from Texas, and they currently live in the Austin area. So it was, for me, it was supporting an Oklahoma narrative that I've loved since I was a child. And then B, supporting these Texas musicians on their rise to become Broadway composers.
That's awesome.
And I met Laura a few years later and had the chance, to find out what she was doing. And I think, The Outsiders was also a really important book for me growing up. Laura and I are about the same age. And in 1983, when the movie came out, I was obsessed. And then the fact that, I've always really wanted to support women, in creative industries, and just thinking about how Susie, had to write under the name SE, and not even just the fact that she was, kind of disguising herself as a man in a way. I mean, this was the 1960s, and that was key to getting published. And so just the fact that, the story originated with her was another reason for getting involved. That's
amazing. It's definitely interesting, looking back and seeing how much this book has impacted so many people. Mm-hmm. You go back to 1967, it's this 16-year-old girl that's writing about what she experienced living in Oklahoma. And it's just touched so many people. So it's interesting to hear how things kind of bring things together. So bringing you all on, I'm sure some of the other producers on as a draw. But yeah, I think that's really awesome. I think the path is really cool. Okay, so how many times have you all seen the show? First, this is a two-parter. How many times have you seen it?
I've not counted. So I don't know.
Laura's seen it more than I think I've seen it 12 to 15 times.
Okay.
You know, and that doesn't, you know, yeah, maybe 15.
And I probably double what Kathleen has.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura's seen it twice as much. So
do you all get to see like the Broadway show and the touring shows like as a producer? Like I know that maybe Laura, you were posting that you were doing something for the Tulsa premiere, maybe.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I was
So
wondering,
all
like,
producers and investors were invited to Tulsa.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes. So there was an event in Tulsa for the producers and investors. And of course, that was super exciting to me because I am from Oklahoma. And when I became involved with the show in 2019, like I just really felt like the show could like raise awareness for Oklahoma tourism and Tulsa tourism.
Definitely, yeah.
So in 2019, I started meeting like with the mayor, the tourism department, kind of letting them know that the show was in development and trying to kind of put the bug in their ear, like how do you think we can partner with each other? Because obviously I want to represent my home state. Definitely. And bring vitality to them. And so it was very exciting to kind of be a liaison for that connection.
Cool. So when
I was just you asked kind of a two-part question about the tour as well. And this is, you know, I've learned so much from Laura. Laura has really brought me in, you know, on the behind the scenes, like how this really works, as much as, you know, the forefront of it, the part that you see. But what I didn't realize is that, you know, when you work on an original show and it does, if it's lucky enough to get picked up to tour, that is really a different entity in the most part. So, you know, you can invest in the beginning and then decide whether or not you want to go on the next journey, meaning the tour. So that's a choice that producers and co-producers make on each of these. You know, they're separate entities.
That's interesting because you would think that it would just bridge. But I guess a lot of shows aren't able to do the tour and also run. So that's pretty interesting.
Well, Laura, do you want to talk about you know, how it does bridge?
Yeah, it does bridge. So if you are an investor in or a co-producer on the original Broadway show, you have a right of first refusal. If the show does get picked up for a tour, you have the right of first refusal to become involved with the tour. So do you want to invest your pro rata or proportional share in the tour that you did on Broadway? And some people will say, yeah, like I totally want to be involved with the tour. And some people don't, because there are a lot more tax forms to fill out.
Oh, for sure.
Because some states the show will kind of do a unified tax form. And then some states say, no, we want each individual to have their own individual tax forms.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
But, you know, one of the most exciting things I feel like that Laura and I did was when the tour was in preparation, when they were starting their initial, like the cast had been chosen and they were all coming together for the first time. Dana Tamor, who directed the Broadway production, she brought everyone together and kind of like set the tone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And again, as you pointed out, like all of that camaraderie and community that you feel on the stage is really true. Like it was behind the scenes as well. And that was really special to be there when the tour was coming together for the first time, the cast and the team.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely because, so I've seen the Broadway show 10 times, okay? And I've seen the tour twice, about to be 4 times. But
good.
Yeah, I love the show, obviously. But
did you see it in Nashville?
Yes, and then I'm going to see it in Knoxville in April.
Oh, cool.
Matt's a little sick of it, not going to lie, but I could see the show a billion times and not be bored of it. But it's really interesting because you watch the Broadway show, you're like, oh, there's no way that this can translate as well. And then you see the tour, and the cast are just like baby versions of the Broadway cast. And the set is just the baby version of the real set. Like, it's nearly identical aside from the fire, obviously. But everything else, like, it's, and even the energy matches the same too. Like, the cast is still so close.
Mm-hmm.
And you can just feel like the love and the appreciation and the passion on the stage. So it's really cool, like, to get your all's opinion on that as well.
And you definitely feel it off stage too.
Yeah.
You know, when you see the cast after the show, or not, not associated when they're performing, like, you feel that camaraderie with everyone.
Definitely.
As well. And it really stems from our creative team and our lead producers. They set the tone.
They do.
We're really fortunate.
That's how it is, like, in almost any job setting too. Just your leadership is the core part of, like, the success of a team. And Outsiders, I mean, they just recouped their investment, right? So I'm going to ask you all a little bit about that, but you can tell, like, okay, this is a success story, like, and it falls back on the leadership. So
yeah, and I was just going to say, I think Araka Group, they put, it was, I think everyone felt so strongly about the unique experience that you have going to see it on Broadway, that they put a lot of time and effort up front to figure out, how do you translate that to the road? Because it's not easy to do. And you've seen, I'm sure, other shows that have toured, and you walk and you're like, well, it was great, but maybe you just didn't get that same feeling seeing it on the road. And I think that they put so much intention up front in making sure that it translated to the tour. And yes, they did a great job.
They did. I wasn't expecting, so I went to see it in Nashville, and I wasn't expecting to see dirt fly everywhere, and I wasn't expecting to see the rain or the blood. Obviously, I knew about the fire. I had talked to Brody a little bit before the tour started, and he said, oh yeah, the fire. And I was like, oh, well, it'll be good regardless, but it's amazing.
Yeah, and in some ways, I feel like the technical aspects of the show really shine even more on tour, because you are in that bigger setting. And I feel like, depending on where you sit, I've sat a lot of different places, but if you sit a little further back, or if you sit up in the balcony or like the mezzanine, you really get to see the pictures, and you really get to see the lighting, which is just awe-inspiring. Yeah. Like, our technical team is brilliant. It's just gorgeous. It's such a gorgeous show.
The lighting in general, just with the Rumble scene, Matt did a piece with the lighting of the Rumble. And that's something that, when we first saw it in the mezzanine on Broadway, front row mezz. That was the only time I thought I was going to see the show. Now flash forward to here. But when we first saw it, that's what stood out, was the lighting for the Rumble, the lighting for the fire, the very stoic lighting for Hoods Turned Heroes, because you're just spotlighting the greasers and they're celebrating. And it's definitely like a very artistic show, like coming from where Matt and I are with our art. Like, we take screenshots in our mind of like what's going on, and trying to replicate that with the lighting and the blocking. And it's a brilliant show. It's amazing. I could talk about it all day, but you all are busy. So with recouping a budget, like, this is something that just happened, like, really recently with recouping. So could you all kind of explain what that means for people that might not know? And then obviously I want to hear, like, how excited you all are about this, and what it means now after after the recouping has happened. Like, what happens now? So
do you want to talk about that, Kathleen?
I do feel like Laura pulled me in on the most amazing experience, because not only is The Outsiders, I mean, as you say, I could see it over and over and over again and never get tired of it. But frankly, that I was lucky enough to invest in a show that has recouped, and that's not the norm. And I don't know if you saw the New York Times article. It's one of the first to recoup since 2022. And there haven't, post COVID, there haven't been many shows that have been able to do that.
Right.
And it's frankly remarkable, Laura. And she, when I was getting involved, there's a lot of risk, and she gave me a lot of warning. You do this because you love it. You're not necessarily doing it to become rich or, make a lot of money. So the good news is that I think for all of the producers and co and associate producers, it's nice that it was such a beautiful creative project, and it paid back. I think it'll be interesting to see if this gives a lift and maybe more interest in musicals, because I think there was, Laura, and please chime in, I think there maybe was a thought that it costs so much these days to produce a musical that maybe plays, like there wouldn't be as many in the future. And maybe this gives the whole industry just a bit of a boost to show that you can do it even post-COVID.
And I will say that, the statistics on Broadway say that 20% of the shows recoup. And that's a statistic of maybe when they're on Broadway. But even if a show closes, a show can recoup if it goes on tour, because the touring company pays some part into the Broadway company. So even if you see a show close, it doesn't mean that, it might mean that it didn't recoup while it's on Broadway. But then once a show goes on the road, or if a show goes to London, or a show starts licensing, that, a show can recoup. So that 20% is just when a show is open on Broadway. So there may be a lot more success stories than we know about, that are a slower trickle, and they're recouping down the road.
That's really interesting, actually. So when Outsiders, it just announced that it's moving overseas as well, Australia, Asia, going to the West End. Are you all producers for that too, or has that not been announced just yet?
I don't think it's been officially announced yet. I think it's some theater on site, just some online theater news that are catching wind and trying to make an announcement before an official announcement's been made.
Right.
So we'll wait to see.
Definitely.
We're waiting for the initial announcement, just like you guys are. So
interesting.
So, we haven't heard an official announcement either.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. So I'm going back to shows. So you all have seen the show a bunch of times now. With this show, there are many different characters, songs, scenes, things that just stand out. Is there something that catches with you all? Is there a certain song that will always hit you in the feels every time that you see it? Is there a character that you see yourself in? Is there a scene that you all just are in love with every time that you see it? I know it's hard. It's picking between your kids.
No, it's hard. Laura, do you want to go first?
Oh, I think it just depends on kind of where I am in my life, what song hits me at the time. So when I first saw it in La Jolla, the line is kind of indirectly in the show now, but in La Jolla, there was a specific line where Daryl said, "Soda, will you just do the laundry?" And I was staying with a friend who's experienced a lot of loss, and it was the first time that I've seen her. And I said, "How can I help you?" And this was before I went to see this show. And she said, "Can you just please fold my laundry?" And then I saw the show and that line, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I just started crying because it was so real. Because that is what Daryl needed help with. He's feeling so overwhelmed And that's like the little thing that soda could help him with. And that was the little thing that my friend asked me to help her with. So at that moment, that is what really hit me at the time. And
Yeah,
I've had times where I feel like sometimes people are beating me down and great expectations has just really hit. You know, like I have all these great expectations for my life, but sometimes the story's writing me. Like, why am I not in control? So I think it just kind of depends on what's going on in my life. What about you? What about you two?
Well, I'm just going to jump in that Run, Run, Brother, and especially when Joshua Boone, I've loved that song from the first production in La Jolla. And I still get chills when that curtain comes down and, and they jump off the train, and just the power of that song. I don't know. And that and Great Expectations, I think. But I think the Run, Run, Brother piece is still my favorite. I never get tired of it. It's just like there's so much movement and emotion and fear and anxiety all wrapped up into that 5 minutes or so.
Yeah. Run Run Brother is definitely up there for me. Little Brother is also up there for me. The first time we saw it, that was the one that stuck out the most to me, was just the movement of the different actors. Like we saw it with Joshua Boone, and when he moves and the other actors move, like that's just like you're grieving as like a community.
The grieving that they were able to choreograph grieving. Like who knew that you could do that? It's
definitely.
Yeah.
And we I got to take my mom to see the show. It was my second time. It was her first time. We sat in the front row, and the day before, Matt's mom, she had passed away from cancer, and we had just gone to her service. And I'm not really an emotional person when it comes to theater, but the day after, like her celebration of life and sitting there in the theater, and it wasn't Stay Gold, it was Deaths at My Door that got me. And I was crying, my mom was crying. I called Matt when we were coming back home, and he was crying. And now every time we see it, it kind of hits me a little bit more, like how important that specific moment was for me. So those two really stick out. Also, I was there for Brody's last show, and that was an emotional trip all in itself.
That's so cool.
We had gotten really close with his family over the past year and a half. I know Cindy's watching this, so she'll watch it later. But being there for him and his family and watching all of the emotions unfold, it was a lot. So now seeing it with different actors, I'm like, okay, well, I can see how Nolan took things from Brody. I can see how Tyler took things from Alex and from Josh Boone. Like, it's just such a surreal experience. So that's what sticks out to me. But
yeah, I got chills when you were talking about Deaths at My Door. That's it's, I mean, the entire, again, it's just so much emotion, so many emotions that you experience in that show.
Right. And as like a fan, I don't have any kids, so putting that out there now, but some fans of this show have children and have brothers and sisters that they can relate so much to, like how this family, how these people are struggling. And the simple message of it is just, if you extend a simple hand out to somebody, like you can make an impact in everybody's lives. And that specifically, like as they're grieving, like as a community, like Little Brother, like they're not grieving just because of Johnny, they're grieving because of everything that's happening. And I think showing that community within this show is just so important. And that's one of the reasons why people love it so much, is that they can compare it with their own lives, their own experiences. And who would have thought that you can relate to a 14-year-old boy in 1967 and he's dealing with all these struggles like a burning church, but you can, and it's definitely an interesting thing. But yeah, so
well, we just have Susie to thank for her story and all those universal themes that you know, sometimes on the surface it seems like it's just, you know, like rich versus poor, but no matter where you are in the world, everybody experiences these things and everybody experiences these feelings.
Yeah. It's been a bit since a Broadway show has been able to do that too. Like, as a Broadway theater fan, there's a lot of shows that feel very big Broadway, big production, lots of lights, lots of color. But this one, it's very expensive to operate, I know, but strip it down. It's about these boys that are surviving and about this town that has a riff in it. And it's just a very simple but beautiful show. And obviously we have you all to thank for that as well. So you all helped build this into what it is today. But my last question for you all, now that you all have seen the success of this show and seen the success of the actors and all of the people involved, what has been the most rewarding part of it for you all?
That's a good question. Laura, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go
first? There's just so many things that are so rewarding. I think it's just watching like the cast grow. I feel like a proud mom. I don't know. I just am so proud of them, and just like even just, you know, to see the touring cast and the new cast that comes in, and to see how our creative team nurtures the cast, and just kind of how and our technical team, the whole thing's just been incredibly rewarding. And then again, just, you know, harkening back to the fact that I'm from Oklahoma, and to kind of see that partnership between Tulsa, the state of Oklahoma, and the show, that it all came to fruition. That was kind of one of my dreams. And so that's been really special to watch too. And then just people on my team that I'm involved with, just sharing the experience with Kathleen and other people. It's just been really special.
Yeah. Laura has, again, she has followed this. You've been on this journey for such a long time. And I can't imagine, it must be like having, you know, another child, to see something that, and also it developed and changed, and the end product, I think, Tara, that you see today on the stage, it didn't start out that way necessarily. Yeah. Like, it was always like an amazing script and, you know, amazing director and all that, but it was really interesting to see how the lead producers and the director like just kept making it better. It was like, it was tighter. There were, you know, things that were cut along the way. And I think for me, just seeing that, how much hard work and creativity goes into making something really special. It doesn't happen overnight. It actually takes a really long time to get to an end product that is just so moving and so powerful. And that's been really fun, you know, I jumped in midway, but Laura, I mean, you've been with this project for a long time.
Yeah. Like late 2018 is when I started talking.
Yeah.
About being involved with the show. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's definitely been, you know, I really have seen all the different iterations, and you know, it takes bravery from the creative team too, because you have to take a risk, and you know, sometimes you try this idea and it doesn't work, but you have to be bold to try it and then say, well, it worked or it didn't work. But like, they figured it out, and the end product is really, really a gift.
It is. I've seen scripts online from La Jolla and from the original workshop, and there's just so many things that you wouldn't think would be cut, but then as you see the Broadway show, it's like, oh, they did that to make sure it was more refined. So I know there was a social worker at one point in throwing in the towel, and there was more dialogue with the fire and all of these different things, like line changes too, like the subtle line changes here and there for like from La Jolla to in production. It's, I would love to see those iterations selfishly, but I understand why they did it. And it's definitely something that has stuck with not just me, but a million other people that have seen the show or have heard of it or have listened to the songs, or it's something that teachers have been using too, like as a gateway for them to teach the book and to teach about like Essie Hinton and her life. And it's opened a new audience is what I'm trying to say. So it's given the book and the movie and the TV show a little bit more of a bump with all of the people that enjoy theater. It's bridging those two worlds together, and it's beautiful. But that's all I have for you all. Is there anything you all would like to say, or anything you all would like to bring up, or anything like that?
Well, I just want to thank you and Matt for building such an amazing community for the fans. And I mean, I personally have enjoyed following you too. And it's nice to see that there is a community of fans out there who really support the show and love the show. So thank you to the fans.
Absolutely.
Laura, do you want to share anything about the next project?
You go for it.
Go ahead.
We'll take 2 seconds, but I do think that there are some commonalities with The Outsiders and the next project that Laura and I are doing, and that is also opening in La Jolla in February, and it's The Recipe, and it's based on the life of Julia Child. So I think a lot of people your age may not know who she is, but she was another really inspiring character who didn't always know, where life was going to take her and didn't always have the direction, but she ended up leading a really remarkable life. And it's a gorgeous script. And I know Laura and I are really excited about the cast that will be in La Jolla. And we have, it's just a really joyful story. And we need more joy.
We do.
Right?
Yes, there's humor. So, there will be some laughs. So that's what we need right now. And and we're really excited to work with the Olympus Group, who is another lead producer on The Outsiders, and they're lead producing The Recipe. And just couldn't say more about them as lead producer. So I'm really just thrilled to be able to work with them again. So.
Well, you all heard it first. You all need to go to La Jolla.
Yes, and it runs February 10th through March 22nd.
Yes. And tickets are selling fast, so that's good. We have, we're really excited.
I'm very excited for you all. If I lived in California, I'd be there every day.
Well, we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, definitely keep me posted. Yeah. But other than that, I really don't have anything else for you all, but I really do appreciate you all coming on and making some time for this. I know it was very last minute, so I really do appreciate what you all do. The fans adore you all. Even if they don't know you yet, they're going to know you now. So we really appreciate you all.
Well, I just hope that you guys have a great weekend for your RumbleCon, and that all the fans enjoy this, and that we just celebrate everybody as a community. And thank you for being part of the Outsiders community.
And thank you for sharing we need more creativity and more being able to express yourself. I just, it's so great. It gives me a lot of hope that multiple generations are enjoying a program, that enjoying something like The Outsiders. And I just hope we can all continue focusing on the good stuff.
Definitely. Life's too serious right now. So
exactly.
we need to enjoy.
We do.
Yes.
But thank you all. I really appreciate it. And I will hopefully talk to you all soon. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. We can't
Have fun this weekend.
and kind of be a part of this weekend.
yeah, definitely. Have a good one, guys.
Thank y'all.